Morning session of the Portland City Council. Keelan, please call the roll.
Maps.
Here.
Rubio.
Here.
Ryan.
Here.
Gonzalez.
Here.
Wheeler.
Here. We'll now hear from legal counsel on the rules of order and decorum. Good morning.
Give me just a moment.
Yep.
It's on my computer, but my
Sure.
audio is coming up.
All right.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
Your mic.
All right. Welcome to the Portland City Council. To testify before council in person or virtually, you must sign up in advance on the council agenda at www.portland.gov/council/agenda. Information on engaging with council can be found on the council clerk's webpage. Individuals may testify for 3 minutes unless the presiding officer states otherwise. Your microphone will be muted when your time is over. The presiding officer preserves order. Disruptive conduct such as shouting, refusing to conclude your testimony when your time is up, or interrupting others' testimony or council deliberations will not be allowed. If you cause a disruption, a warning will be given. Further disruption will result in an ejection from the meeting. Anyone who fails to leave once ejected is subject to arrest for trespass. Additionally, council may take a short recess and reconvene virtually. Your testimony should address the matter being considered. When testifying, state your name for the record. Your address is not necessary. If you are a lobbyist, identify the organization you represent. Virtual testifiers should unmute themselves when council clerk calls your name. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And before we jump into communications, I just want to extend a couple of thank yous on behalf of all of us here up front on the dais. As many of you know, we moved out of our historic city council chambers the better part of a year ago so that renovations could take place in anticipation of a larger city council and a city administrator function being part of those council sessions. So we moved here in order to be able to continue our meetings. And I know that that caused both a lot of consternation as well as significant inconvenience for a lot of city employees as well as the public. And I just want to acknowledge those sacrifices. I want to thank all of our council staff and people who have been working tirelessly behind the scenes to make sure that everything gets moved here and that everything is operating efficiently. Keelan, I would like to thank you and Rebecca and the council clerk staff. I know this has been particularly hard for your operations to be able to move here and then move elsewhere. Our legal staff, of course, BTS, as we just saw a moment ago, has been troubleshooting endlessly and tirelessly to make sure that the technology here is adapted for the needs of a city council session. Of course, all of our security folks, not just council security, who do a great job at the building security as well. When we moved city council here to this building, it created a whole new workload for the folks who ensure that this building and the Portland State facilities are secure. Last but not least, the public obviously made sacrifices in terms of having to come here to testify. It's a little bit harder in some cases for many people to be able to make it here to testify in person, and we appreciate everybody's perseverance. This is our last meeting here in this facility. Next week, on the 18th, we will be moving back into our historic but renovated city council chamber for what we hope will be a successful dry run of those facilities. There'll undoubtedly be some kinks and some technology issues and lighting issues and communications issues, but we'd like to get those ironed out next week before the new council comes in for their first session on January 2nd. So long way of just saying thank you all for your patience and your understanding during this process. We'll move to communications. First up is item number 1059. First individual, please, Keelan.
Request of Chuck Crockett to address council regarding governing body jurisdiction. They canceled their request.
Oh, they did. Okay. Then we'll go to 1060, please. Next individual.
Request of E.D. Mondane to address council regarding grassroots movements within marginalized communities. They are joining online.
Welcome, Pastor.
Good morning. It's good to see you all.
Likewise.
To Mayor Wheeler and members of the City Council, I'm honored to be here this morning. And recognizing that your tenure draws to a close, I'm present here with you, filled with reflection, gratitude, and a renewed sense of purpose. Over the past 4 to 8 years, this city, our city, has faced some of its most significant trials. From a global pandemic that challenged our very way of life to a national reckoning on racial injustice that placed Portland squarely in the national spotlight. We have navigated storm after storm. Mayor Wheeler, under your leadership and alongside this council, past and present, we've confronted these challenges head on. Portland became a stage for cries of justice and peace. Organizations such as the NAACP, the Urban League, and Albina Ministerial Alliance joins hands with Jewish communities and countless others to bring calm amidst chaos, to restore hope amidst despair. While our streets may have been torn and marred, our spirit as a city has endured. As a leader in this community, I am proud to have partnered with you during these turbulent times, from feeding thousands of our most vulnerable during our pandemic through Poshines, to preserving Black landmarks from erasure. I have seen firsthand the resilience and determination that this city embodies. Together, we have rebuilt, restored, and reimagined what Portland can and must be. One of the crowning achievements during this time was the Portland Clean Energy Fund, which has brought millions of dollars into resources to the marginalized community, supporting ecological projects and creating pathways to a more sustainable future. As its first petitioner, I have seen how this initiative has not only uplifted communities, but also demonstrated what we can achieve when equity and innovation align. Yet, as we prepare to usher into a new administration, I want to share a message of continuity. Dr. Martin Luther King spoke of an unsettling force, a collective power of people who demand justice and equity. That force remains alive in this city. To these stepping aside, know that lessons you have imparted will continue to shape this city's future. To the incoming administration, I pledge to remain a partner, carrying forward the spirit of unity, progress, and hope that has been our guiding light. Portland's challenges are not behind us, but neither is its potential. Together, we are the unsettled, and we will rise. Thank you. This is Edie Mondene, pastor of Celebration Tabernacle and the founder of the Unsettling Force.
Pastor, thank you. What a terrific and an important message. Thank you so much for being here today to share it. And I also, just since I might not get a chance, I want to thank you for your leadership over the years and the many, many contributions you've made to the community. I've learned a lot from you. And I appreciate you and I respect you, and I look forward to continuing to work with you in the years ahead. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Next individual, please, 1061.
Request of Carl Klus to address council regarding policy to promote conversion of office buildings to residential. They canceled their request.
1062, please.
Request of injured and pissed off to address council regarding eviction. It doesn't look like they're here.
See them, yeah, okay, very good. 1063, please.
Request of Sharon Nassett to address council regarding tolls on I-5 and the third bridge across the Columbia River.
Here she is. Good morning. Thank you for being here.
Nice to see you. Such a crisp day.
It is. It's a beautiful day.
Do I hand you material as a clerk?
Do you have materials for council?
I do, but maybe I'll just speak and send it electronically. Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you very much. I sent you in to talk about tolling and I should say be more polite. Chair or Mayor Wheeler and council members, thank you very much. I'm Sharon Nassett, and I'm with Third Bridge now with Economic Transportation Alliance. Sorry, I just came out from parking. I couldn't get the thing to accept my card.
Oh, no. It's not just you. Don't.
I've gotten a ticket before. I went crazy, and so had to chase down some people for coins, and so I just ran in. So the thing I'm here to talk about is tolling, and I was going to be speaking in February, and they said this came up. Otherwise, I'd be doing homeless today because it's cold outside. But right now, the I-5 freeway is called the I-5 freeway because we do not have tolling on it. We were the first state to have fuel used instead of tolls. In 1917, after 2 years of having a toll on the I-5 bridge, which came in 1917, people decided they didn't want to carry money on them, and that by going gasoline or fuel at the time would be the best way to go. And the rest of the nation has followed us. 100% of what you put in comes out into the funding, and 100% of the calculation is taken care of by the company that takes it in. A fuel that is regulated, which is electrical or petroleum, is able to be measured, and they already know how to send us taxes because you can see it on your bill now. So tolling has many costs associated with it. The one cost that is mostly associated with it is we will be changing the designation of the I-5 freeway. It will no longer be a freeway. It would be the first time between Canada and Mexico that the main line of the I-5 freeway would be tolls. And they would take the designation of freeway off. We, Portland, would be removing the designation, and any city along it would now be allowed to put a toll on it because it would now be an interstate, but not the freeway. We are not discussing the fact, and they have not laid out any of what it would come to have this process changed and what it would do for Portland and our reputation to change it. 1 cent on a gallon of gasoline gives us $36 million statewide. You can do it county by county. So you can do higher here, lower in areas where they drive further. So that means in a 10-year period, you would have $3,600,000,000, enough to pay for that. So for a dime's worth of difference, something you don't notice because the gasoline goes up and down, you would have that bridge totally paid for. 30% diversion straight off the top from tolling. They can't get it, they can't read it, the person doesn't pay it. You then have, then you have 45% administration, leaving you with 39 cents from a dollar. You get 100% calculation and 100% compensation from fuel and 39 cents on the dollar from the other. No reason to switch. I'm hoping that you, the commission, the Oregon State Commission, just had a meeting a month ago. Nobody showed up for it. 3 citizens. It's not on anybody's radar. Changing the designation would be wrong. Thank
All right,
you.
thank you. And you're going to give us some materials through the
Yes,
clerk there?
I'll send it in. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And I know this is going to be a big issue in front of the legislature this session, so I'm sure we'll
It
look
is.
forward to
And-
hearing from
and-
you again and seeing you again.
Yes, it is, because it's really, really important for our economy. And I want to thank you as treasurer. You did a very good job of being fair and honest, and you stood up for a long time. I kind of wish you would have went further and had them pursue exactly where all the money is. I think we're closing in on $400 million. You know, CRC was 240. This one started out to be 100 million. And I think we're closing in on $400 million of just studies. But you did an excellent job, and when people went to you about it, you looked into it, and I appreciate that you were fair and honest in that dealing
Thank
as
you.
treasurer.
Thank you.
sir. And good luck.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. You too. Does that complete communications then?
It does.
All right. Why don't we do the consent agenda, because we're 1 minute ahead of where we need to be for the first time certain. Have any items been pulled off of the consent agenda?
No items have been pulled.
Please call the roll.
Max,
Aye.
Rubio,
Aye.
Ryan?
Aye.
Gonzalez?
Aye.
Mueller?
Aye, the consent agenda has been adopted. We'll go to the first, we can do it now. The first time certain item, please, is item number 1064, a presentation.
2024 Steve Lowenstein Trust Award.
Colleagues, this is a presentation that we've been giving every year. Commissioner Mapps has done a fantastic job of bringing forward this item each year up to this point. The council uses this opportunity to honor a Portlander who's made an enduring impact on the lives of those who are experiencing poverty in our community or marginalization. The Lowenstein Trust Award, which was established 33 years ago, was created in memory of Steve Lowenstein, who served as executive to former City Commissioner Mike Lindberg during the 1980s. Steve was a tireless advocate for social justice, and as you'll hear, his legacy continues to inspire many, many people here in our community. When Steve passed away in 1990, the Lowenstein Trust was established to recognize individuals who've made the greatest contributions to assisting the poor and underserved here in the city of Portland. During my time as mayor, I've seen firsthand how the trust consistently selects honorees who embody this mission, and this year is, of course, no exception. Today, we recognize Dana Lynn Louie, founder of Gather, Make Shelter. Dana's remarkable work has provided Portlanders experiencing homelessness with opportunities to rebuild a sense of belonging and hope through art and placemaking. If you've visited one of the city's Safe Rest villages, you've likely seen Dana's influence, colorful murals, and thoughtfully designed spaces that bring beauty and a sense of care to our shelters, creating a welcoming environment for people as they stabilize and they work towards securing permanent housing. This is just but one example of the transformative impact Dana has had through Gather, Make Shelter. Now I'll turn it over to Joe Hertzberg and Margie Harris, trustees of the Trust Board, to share more about the trust and introduce this year's honoree, Dana Lynn Lewis. Welcome. Thank you for being here again.
Hi, Mayor and Commissioners. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm going to take a minute to talk about Steve Lowenstein. Could I have the first slide? Steve packed an amazing career into only 52 years on the planet. He helped shape the Peace Corps, worked with the Ford Foundation in Ethiopia and Chile. He founded the Oregon Law Center and the Oregon Law Foundation. And in his spare time, he wrote the definitive history of Jews in Oregon. But we're here in City Council because he spent 6 years in Portland City Hall as Mike Lindberg's chief of staff. He was trusted as a straight shooter, a consensus builder, and a passionate advocate for social justice. He was a mentor and a role model for many people still in leadership positions in the city. He was also a cherished friend with an incurable sweet tooth and an infectious cackle of a laugh. As the mayor said, when he died, he endowed a trust fund to annually recognize, in his words, that person who demonstrated the greatest contribution to assisting the poor and underprivileged in the city of Portland. Next slide, please. This year, we're presenting the Steve Lowenstein Award for the 33rd time, every one of them at a meeting of the Portland City Council. Dana Lynn Lewis joins a distinguished group of local treasures, many of them unsung. It's been an honor and a privilege to give them just a bit of the recognition they deserve. You undoubtedly recognize many of these names, but you might not have at the time they received the award. Selecting the honoree is the most humbling and rewarding thing that I do all year, along with my fellow trustees, Art Alexander, Jamal Folsom, Monica Garacki, Michelle Harper, Margie Harris, Mark Jolin, Paul Kelly, Adrian Livingston, Shelley Romero, and Charlie Williamson. Adrian and Mark are past recipients of the award, and Michelle, a longtime city employee and our peerless leader, is missing this presentation for only the second time in 33 years. Next slide, please. I'm just going to put these these links up for people watching at home and, so they can refer to it later. Could you put up that slide with URLs? The award includes an honorarium of $10,000 raised entirely from contributors who value Steve's legacy. And Margie Harris is going to introduce today's honoree, Dana Lynn Lewis.
Thank you, Joe. Good morning, Mayor and members of the council. It's a pleasure to be here today. My name is Margie Harris, and I am a trustee of the Lowenstein Board. And it's my pleasure to introduce our 33rd awardee for the Steve Lowenstein Honorarium, and it's Dana Lynn Lewis, who's here with us. Founder of Gather, Make, Shelter. Dana is many wonderful things and has many wonderful qualities, and among them, you are an artist, a social justice activist, a convener, a collaborator, and above all, a humanitarian. You're also a bicyclist. And the reason I mention that is because in 2017, you had a flat tire near a homeless shelter by the Steel Bridge. And but for that day and stopping to talk to someone about a bike mechanic who lived in that homeless camp, you might never have had the idea to create Gather, Make, Shelter. But that stimulated the idea to bring people together to create art and to do so with both unhoused artists and those who were housed in our community. What they needed as houseless people and what you could do to help them is what spurred the creation of Gather, Make, Shelter sometime after that interaction. The first project was one of gathering together people who had made ceramic bowls and gathering unhoused people to artistically decorate those bowls. And you believe that a shared activity like that would build trust and understanding between people, would lift their spirits, ignite hope, and ultimately improve their lives. And you were right. Over time, the project of Gather, Make, Shelter has evolved into a network of artists working together while also creatively addressing the local housing crisis. Dana, you were a central part of an early coalition devoted to transitioning people living on the streets into the first 3 tiny house villages. Joe and I passed one on the way here today. Village residents were united, as you said, Mr. Mayor, to beautify their new community with painted exteriors, colorful gardens, and lovely landscaping. Beauty is a theme throughout your life and certainly throughout the lives of those you are serving. Today, Gather, Make, Shelter occupies a very sunny space where everyone is welcome. A studio is full of houseless community members and people in transition to temporary and permanent housing. And local artists come to paint, sketch, make ceramics, create textiles, and other forms of art expression. An adjacent gallery space displays their artwork, and when it is sold, generates income for those artists. The artwork of some participants has also been published in colorful books, with a tour making its way across the state. Participants are also branching out to paint murals and other art installations in the community at large. In the nearly 8 years since Gather, Make, Shelter began, thousands of people have attended Gather, Make, Shelter events and activities. While hundreds from the houseless community have come through its doors to revive or unlock their creative talents, so much more has happened in their lives. Friendships have developed. Connections to social services and essential resources are being made. Meals are shared. People are seen and heard and supported. Pride, dignity, and hope is being restored, and stability is found. A nurturing community has been built. Dana, where others look away from the challenges facing houseless people, you walk toward them. You engage directly with them. Where others may be fearful, you bring your openness and your genuine curiosity. And where others make assumptions and have judgment, you exude authenticity and establish trust. I believe because you see the world through artistic eyes, you deeply understand and recognize the beauty that can be made through art and the beauty that lives within all of us as human beings. On behalf of the Lowenstein Trust, we honor and we thank you, Dana, for the countless lives you have touched and made better here in the city of Portland. Congratulations.
So much.
And Dana has her own remarks to share.
Thank you. Greetings, Mayor and councilors. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and to be honored in this way. It really blows my mind, to see the list of people that have come before me and you've given this award to, I think, me too, like really? And Marjorie, you did such a good job introducing me that you took most of my comments away. But I do have some things to say. And for one, I'm deeply appreciative of being seen. And I think relative to the project Gather, Make, Shelter, that is a core value of ours and something that has, from the very beginning, is to listen and to be seen are two extremely important things. And that's what we all want. And I feel deeply seen today, so thank you so much for that. I came here in 1989, which is the year that he died. I mean, I came here in the fall of 89 and Steve died in 90. And I have to believe that I got zhuzhed somehow by that energy. And I think that zhuzhing, it lives in many of us around town where there's tiny lights and there's magnets that bring us together to collaborate with each other. And I stayed in Portland for all these years because I really believe in that deep collaboration and our ability to collaborate with each other and to do extraordinary things. And I think, given what's going on in our country and our world right now, Portland is an example of a place, and Oregon is an example of a place that has continually chosen different paths and figured out ways to rise above. And I hope that Gather, Make, Shelter, and I believe that Gather, Make, Shelter contributes to that. It's a deeply collaborative project, and I just want to give you a couple examples because it goes beyond the artists in town. We, during the pandemic, when, as Margie said, we helped start C3PO, which was the beginning of the Safe Village model. And Mayor Wheeler, I remember the day where you came into Old Town and we sat down with a bunch of people together and had tea. And you got introduced to all the amazing things that were happening there. And I'm not going to say C3PO was perfect. However, several things from that time led to what we now have as an expanded opportunity for people who are living outside to be in villages. And you said, as you were leaving, we need hundreds of these. And we don't have hundreds, but we have more. And that's amazing. And particularly, I just want to shout out to Cultivate Initiatives and to We Shine Villages, who we're deeply partnered with, who are exemplary in how they transparently use their funds and treat humanity. I'm really proud to be aligned with them. Another thing that happened during the pandemic, the gifts of the dangerous things that happened, was that Killian Pacific, who's a developer in town, called me up and said, you work with and support everybody that we'd like to be aligned with, but we don't have access to. What do you need? And I said, money, we need money. And at that time, we were working out of my truck on the street, in my studio, et cetera, under tarps. And he said, Adam Tyler, who's the CEO over there, said, how about a 2,000 square foot storefront in the Pearl District with a roll-up garage door during the pandemic? And I said, okay, maybe, let me get back to you. He goes, what do you mean maybe? I said, well, I don't make any decisions without talking to my people that I work with. So I got on my bike, as you say, and rode around, collected some folks, and we pressed our noses up against this storefront. And there was a resounding, hell yes, let's do this. We will walk in like we own it. And that was supposed to be between 3 months and 3 years. And this is 5.5 years later. And somewhat unfortunately for Killian, they haven't been able, in the economy, they haven't been able to raise that building and turn it into something else. Although they don't lead with that when they approach us. They're so proud to be aligned with us. In fact, that's, more than 5.5 years ago. And last year I called them and said, hey, building still hasn't been raised. Can we have some more? And they gave us this gorgeous storefront. So we have 2 spaces in Old Town, in the Pearl District, and it's really amazing. I also just want to say a couple things about the nation's take on Portland. And the New York Times consistently looks at us and says things like we are filled with houseless folks that are mentally ill and on drugs, and that is not the only part of the population that is on the streets. And ProPublica came a few months ago and interviewed us, and several other organizations that are proving that actually there is more on the streets than that. And I just want to say that I am a fly fisher, I am a hunter, and I am a seed planter. I fly fish for opportunities, I plant seeds for coordination and collaboration with others, and I hunt treasure. And there's a lot of treasure on our streets. And I am so thankful for the opportunity and the trust and faith that my amazing team, some of whom are here today, and my board members, who are also a tiny team, and the hundreds and hundreds of people, some of whom are here today that I work with, who have, many of them, gotten into housing since they lived at C3PO and other places and are now taking leadership roles in Gather Make Shelter. So I just want to encourage more collaboration in our city, and I look forward to working with the new council and the new mayor in order to help move these initiatives forward. Thank you for your time and for giving me the opportunity to be here today.
Thank you, Dana. Appreciate it. Since they made the effort, could we have your team stand up just to be recognized? Thank you for being the effort.
Yeah, I just want to add one footnote. Steve's original idea, and he realized it was unworkable, was to alternate between someone who had helped the poor and underprivileged and someone who'd contributed to the arts in the city of Portland. And Ethan Seltzer nominated Dana, and his comment was, Steve would have loved this woman. And I have no doubt of that.
And Ethan is a former member of the staff with Mike Lindbergh, who knew Steve, and Ethan's on your board.
Yeah, Ethan's on my board, and Ethan's about to go off the board to go back to being the chief pizza delivery person and advisor to us.
Excellent.
But has served on our board from the very beginning and before there was a board, listening to a lot of tears and anxiety and excitement. So.
Excellent. Thank you. I know some of my colleagues would like to say a few words as well. Commissioner Maps?
Sure. Let me just start off by thanking our guests for being here today. I'll tell you, I've had the privilege to serve on this council for about 4 years, and this award is literally one of my favorite parts of the job. It's a reminder of the impact that Portlanders can make on our community. And every year, it's a real delight to meet the new awardees. I want to congratulate Dana for winning this prestigious award. And I want to say to my colleagues, I'm delighted to join you in recognizing Dana Lynn Lewis for being this year's recipient of the Stephen Lowenstein Trust Award. As we've heard today, Dana has spent decades creating art that inspires connection and contemplation. As we also heard today, in 2017, she turned her talent and passion towards addressing one of the most urgent crises of our time, homelessness. As the founder of Gather Make Shelter, Dana has used art as a powerful tool to build community, foster hope, and restore dignity for thousands of Portlanders. Now, what has started as a single pottery painting project has grown into an organization that has partnered with over 23 local groups, engaged more than 2,800 individuals, and created meaningful artistic spaces, including artistic spaces in some of our safe rest villages. As we have learned today, Dana's work enriches our city's artistic landscape and addresses the isolation that so many feel in moments of crisis. which is why I'd like to thank Ms. Lewis for reminding us that art can heal, connect, and inspire change. Thank you so much and congratulations.
Thank you, Commissioner Mapps. Commissioner Rubio.
Thank you. And I too want to say that this is one of the most inspiring moments of the year. And I've had been lucky enough to see it multiple times over the years and know a number of the people that have received the award. So I've really felt and seen firsthand the impact of this award, and there is no award quite like it that I've seen anywhere else. So it's really inspiring that it's so local and it's people who actually see the people doing work in the community. And Dana, I just want to congratulate you for your transformative leadership at this organization. As someone who's worked in the community for a time, I know and I've seen the role that, the transformative role that arts can play, particularly with vulnerable communities, in terms of strengthening identity and experience and giving voice to those experiences. But I also know that it really takes a true leader and visionary who's community-centered, who has deep compassion, and who really believes that everyone is deserving of dignity, no matter what their story and no matter what their circumstances. And they deserve that belonging, and you have that, and you've held that at the center from what I know about you and what I've read about you and watched your organization. And you really bridge these worlds really beautifully, and you create a safe and loving environment and atmosphere through art and through connection and through community, while also respecting the innate wisdom of the participants that are there. So this, to me, is what true healing looks like in our community. And we need more experiences like this and more leaders like you. So I just want to say thank you on behalf of all of us here at the city for your vision and your hope and your connection and the healing that you bring to all of us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Commissioner Ryan.
Yeah. First, thank you to the Steve Lowenstein Board and volunteers. You keep the Steve spirit alive, and how it's actually quite remarkable. This is my 5th one. And like Commissioner Rubio said, it's definitely a highlight of the year. Dana, congratulations. I was fortunate to meet you through our mutual friend, Pip Aaron, and I knew minutes into the conversation that you were the real deal. Your head and your heart were clearly connected. Your passion was off the charts, and you were free to say exactly what you needed to say. And so I came into the meeting knowing, along with Charity Montez, who was the manager of the Safe for Us Villages, was like a minute into it, that a cyclone fence wouldn't cut it. And that having a beautiful fence was more meaningful than I think most people could understand. And you affirmed that and how, and you also took that and ran with it. You also gave it away. So your collaborative spirit allows ripples to take place. And so you helped us know that it was about the community inside the villages that had to be deeply engaged and involved. So I appreciated that it wasn't something that you held on too tightly, but you knew that it just needed to happen. And so I really appreciate that type of a leader that takes an idea, shares it, moves it along, and continues to do fabulous things.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And your kindness is, I think, needs to be lifted because of that. We're at a time and a place, and we're in the season of Advent and other seasons at this time, where it's really good to reflect on the importance of being still and being kind. So thank you for being a Portlander. I'm glad that you use every little moment to be inspired and move forward. I love the bicycle flat tire story. And I'm grateful to know you and to be sitting here to say congratulations, Dana.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And I want to thank you all again. Dana, congratulations, well-deserved. And yes, you certainly deserve a place of distinction amongst the previous awardees of this prestigious award. You've earned it, and you've really opened people's eyes, and you've done some innovative things. Thank you for your continued leadership. And I won't be here for next year, but I'll be watching, and I'll be curious where it goes from here. But every year has been a terrific opportunity to really hold a light on people who maybe don't get a lot of attention and aren't particularly well-known to the community. And I think it's great that you're doing this. Thank you so much for it. It's inspiring to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think traditionally we've offered pictures
Oh,
for
yeah,
the council
absolutely.
members and
Hey, it's your reputation, why
Nina.
not?
Yeah. And as you're assembling, I'll make mention that the award includes a $10,000 honorarium. And Dana, that is to further your work.
Thank you so much.
Five, a report.
Appoint Charity Kreider to the Portland Children's Levy Allocation Committee for term to expire December 11th, 2026.
Let's see, all right. This we will pass to Assistant Director Meg McElroy.
McElroy, you had it.
McElroy. I was right the first time. I should have just stuck with it.
That's all right.
It's
Good
good to
morning,
see you.
Mayor.
Good morning.
You too. Good morning, council members. First, I want to say congratulations to Dana. That was a wonderful way to start a Wednesday morning here at work, and I feel really grateful to have coincidentally been here for that presentation. And I also want to make a little connection, a fun factoid. In looking at the list of past Steve Lowenstein Award recipients, several of them have been involved with shaping the Children's Levy. Either they were advocates to help get it started, they were critical friends along the way to make sure it functioned better. And one of them, Adrian Livingston, if I recall correctly from the presentation, who serves on the Lowenstein board, also served on the Portland Children's Levy Allocation Committee, which brings us full circle to why I'm here this morning. As you know, the Children's Levy, along with Portland Parks and Recreation and the Office of Arts and Culture, are now part of the vibrant community service area in the city's restructure. The Children's Levy is overseen by an allocation committee as required by its authorizing legislation. There are 5 members who serve on that committee. It's currently chaired by Commissioner Ryan, and 2 other seats are appointed by the mayor with council approval. The Children's Levy is seeking to appoint Charity Kreider to the committee as a representative of the community who has knowledge and experience in the field of services for children and families, and she'll be replacing Tracy Rossi, who stepped down in June after 4 years of service. The Children's Levy staff recruited for this city-appointed community member seat using the city's advisory board recruitment and application process. The application was open for 7 weeks, giving us substantial time to recruit potentially interested community members. We received 11 applications for this volunteer position and interviewed 4 applicants. Ms. Kreider rose to the top for multiple reasons. She's a public health and education professional with over 15 years combined experience in government and public sector, nonprofit, and private sectors. She's worked as a kindergarten through 12th grade teacher and an education policy program manager at the Northwest Education Association. She has a master's degree in public health and worked in a variety of public health positions in Oregon and Minnesota. She has substantial experience in grant writing and management. In our interview with her, she demonstrated keen and specific awareness of health and educational disparities locally and nationally, and she has a broad perspective on how health and well-being is defined and experienced among diverse populations. Her personal background includes growing up in rural poverty and being a first-generation college student. She's also currently raising children in the city of Portland and has deep personal experience navigating a range of systems for a child who has significant medical needs. Altogether, she brings knowledge and experience, both lived and professional, to the Children's Levy Allocation Committee as the Children's Levy approaches completing its current funding round. We are pleased to present this report to you and happy to answer any questions.
All right, very good. Colleagues, any questions on this report? Do we have public testimony on the report?
No one signed up.
I'll entertain a motion to accept the report.
So moved.
Commissioner Maps moves, Commissioner Ryan seconds. Any further discussion on the report? Please call the roll.
Maps.
I want to thank Ms. Kreider for agreeing to serve on this important committee. I vote aye.
Rubio.
I'm happy to support this appointment. I vote aye.
Ryan.
Meg, it's good to see you. Great report. And I want to also just welcome Charity to the Allocation Committee. I look forward to seeing you next Monday.
Correct?
Correct? Okay. Anyway, your life experience provides a real sharp lens for this role. I accept the report.
Gonzalez.
Thanks so much for willing to serve, for all that step forward. I vote aye.
Wheeler.
Thank you, Meg McElroy. Sorry to mispronounce your name off the top. I should know better than that by now. This is actually a really exciting committee to serve on, but it's also a big workload. I'm always appreciative when people are willing to step forward, as Commissioner Ryan has been, to do the good work that your organization continues to do. I vote aye. The appointment's approved. The report is accepted. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it. Next item, please, 1066. This is a resolution.
Continue ongoing efforts to reduce crime, improve livability, and support community in and around Dawson Park.
Colleagues, as you're all well aware, city teams have been working diligently to reduce gun violence, to address livability issues, and support our local community in the Dawson Park area. As we've discussed in prior meetings, this council wants to do all that we can to ensure that this work continues into the new year with the new mayor and the new council. I also wanted to take this opportunity to really update the public on what we have been doing. There is a lot of trauma and sadness and tragedy associated with some of the gun violence, in particular in the Dawson Park area. And I've had the opportunity to meet with many people in the immediate community, in the immediate neighborhood. They are most certainly negatively impacted, but I also want them to know that the city sees it, the city understands it, the city empathizes. We have actually been working very, very hard alongside our community partners to address the very real issues in that neighborhood. So today I am proud to bring forward this resolution to formally express our intention that this work will continue and to ensure that impacted members of the community understand that we do hear them and we do appreciate when they share their experiences and their time and their talent and their energy with us to help improve things. To share more on this important work, we have Director of Portland Solutions, Skylar Brocker-Knapp, as well as my Community Safety Director, Stephanie Howard, here to present. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, Mayor and Commissioners. We're very pleased to be here today to bring forward this resolution, and as the Mayor, I think, said very well, to help provide the community with an opportunity, again, to address council regarding their experiences, and also to really formalize the intentions that I know this council has to continue that good work and maintain the momentum we had through the transition. Director Brocker-Knapp is here to give us a little bit of an overview on some of the work that's happening. I know we've got lots of community partners here as well to speak, so I'll hand it over.
Thanks, Director Howard. Skylar Brocker-Knapp, Director of Portland Solutions. I'm just going to run through some of the work that our teams have been doing collectively. We also have commanders and officers in the audience to answer questions that you might have about all the police work that's been done. But from a livability perspective, I just wanted to give a quick overview. We've been hosting problem solver meetings every other week for this specific area, targeted to residents and neighborhood associations, small business owners, parents of the local preschool, for example. So we've been working closely with different folks every other week, and our teams, especially Dakota Thompson and Ann Hill from PIMO, have been working with these folks on site walks and what could improve this specific community. Some of those things that were noted were extra lighting in the park, so we were able to put that up. We're working with parks also on additional picnic tables and installing new lights for the gazebo, for example. We also reopened some bathrooms in conjunction with parks and some of that community support. Also some partnerships with Safe Blocks, another city organization, with our city outreach team. So they host different events. They've been able to get folks navigated to shelter who might be living unsheltered in the area. And they've been able to bring in folks to create a lively space in the community. They've been giving out food and resources regularly at the park. We've also installed some bollards that were requested by the community, worked with PBOT on some additional parking interventions around the park. We're paying for biohazard and sharps removal with Central City Concern and Trash for Peace, different folks doing extra kind of cleanups around the park. That was requested by the community. We've also been power washing in the surrounding right-of-ways, so on sidewalks, that was also requested by the community. And providing police officers in those problem solver meetings so folks can communicate directly with some of the work that's just being done, so extra patrols and some investigations. And we've also been doing site walks regularly, so certain things will come up in different site walks, certain folks will be able to attend different ones. We want to make sure that consistent community presence is there and city presence is there with them. I just want to give a quick shout out to the folks on my team who've been doing this work on the ground. So like I mentioned, Ann Hill and Dakota Thompson, but there's also our city outreach team. The Street Services Coordination Center has been there regularly for a time, going every morning, developing those relationships. So want to say thank you to our Director of Outreach, Kim James, Keith Rice, Sean Christensen, and Nate Takara, who've been doing a lot of work in this area and have been building a lot of relationships to get folks into shelter. Thanks.
Thank you. I know, as I mentioned, that there are several community members here. I don't know, Mayor, if you would like to open up to council questions or hear from community first, and we're happy to answer after that.
Why don't we do this? I know we have a number of people who want to testify. Why don't we hear from them first? And then if you could come back and answer any questions council might have.
Absolutely.
We have 8 people signed up. First up, we have Lynn Randall.
And while we're waiting, Heidi, we are going to move your item next so that you can be here.
Go ahead, Lynn.
Thank you.
Hi, Lynn.
Hello. Okay. Hi, I'm Lynn Randall. I'm a neighbor of Dawson Park, and I'm a parent at Arkansas Montessori. I just want to take a moment to reflect on a brief part of the history of this neighborhood as we're considering looking forward. So in the 1960s, the hospital we know as Legacy Emmanuel decided they needed to expand. The problem was that the area most convenient for their expansion was a neighborhood of single-family homes. The hospital asked the city of Portland for help. The city used their right of eminent domain to force people to sell their homes so they could be demolished and the hospital could expand. These homes were razed to the ground. After the city completed this multi-year effort to clear out an entire neighborhood and handed the land over to the hospital, Legacy decided maybe we don't need quite that much space. And those blocks immediately south of Dawson Park have sat empty for 50 years. I believe if this neighborhood had not been demolished at the request of a private entity, we would not be discussing these issues about Dawson Park today. As we consider what we can and can't do to address the issues at Dawson, I would like future city leaders to remember the incredible ego and audacity of the injustices that got us here and commit to using even a small fraction of that audacity to solving the problems. If the city in the 60s can devote countless hours to buying people out of their homes, the city needs to make similarly bold policy decisions in response to persistent issues. Things like telling PBOT to block off the entrance to Morris Street so the next shooter doesn't drive past my husband picking up our son. I have other asks that I will continue to bring up at Problem Solvers meetings, but I want to respect your time. Thank you for bringing this resolution to demonstrate the city's commitment to the areas around Dawson Park. I look forward to being able to take my son to Close Park after school one day. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Appreciate your testimony.
Next up, we have Julie Allen.
Welcome.
Hi, thank you. Good morning. My name is Julie Allen, and I'm a resident of the Elliott neighborhood. Dawson Park is a fixture of this community, and sadly, one that myself and many of my neighbors are not able to enjoy because of the murders, gunshots, open drug use and dealing, and prostitution that occur in the park. This results in a large swath of the community that feels inaccessible and unsafe to many. I'm here to ask that the current City Council, through their transition to the new council, ensures that the safety and livability in and around Dawson Park stays a funded priority. I would also like to express appreciation for the efforts that have already been made so far. In the last year, we have noticed hearing less gunshots, which is one positive sign of progress. I would love to one day feel safe walking through and enjoying the park and spending time in the park. It's a neighborhood park, and how it's viewed and experienced directly impacts livability for the residents of Elliott and how people perceive the neighborhood externally that don't live here. I ask that the new City Council will continue the efforts that you all have made, and thank you for your time. I appreciate you having this open forum for us today.
Thanks, Julie.
Next up, we have Alan Rudwick.
Hello. Sorry.
Yep, we hear you and see you, Alan.
Hello. Thanks. My name is Alan Rudwick. I've been serving with the Elliott Neighborhood Association for about 15 years. I live 2 blocks from Dawson Park and can remember a time of peace there. My 3 children spent a lot of time on the swings and climbing equipment, and Portland Parks did an awesome job of renovating the park a decade ago. But for the last 5 years, as you know, the park's had a major drug dealing, gun violence problem, among other things. The area that dealers seem to prefer is surrounded by buildings that have no windows facing them and thus very minimal inner oversight from the public. We have the healthcare organization Legacy with its back doors and parking garages facing the park. Another one of their healthcare office buildings with the main entrance on the other side and underground. An empty field now surrounded by fences because people were parking on it. A public housing project where people are scared of violence in the park. A new community health clinic, which I'm optimistic can help change the energy around the park. The school, Arkansas, also with no windows facing the park. They used to use the park for recess, but now has built their own playground on the other side of the building because of crime in the park. The Catholic Church, it continues to put up more bars to keep people out of their property and doesn't appear to serve the community. 2 bus stops that feel unsafe. And finally, a stop and go mini mart, a building with no windows facing Stanton Street, and a building that could be a real opportunity for the city if it was spending its money wisely. And by that, I mean probably buying the property and tearing it down. We've seen a lot how supportive services near Unthank Park with SEI have really turned things around there. And we think that a modern building that has supportive services in it and potentially some housing could really change the energy around the park. We've seen 5 years of an unsafe park. 2 of them, the police seem to be on strike, and 3 more with excuses from police, county officials, and other groups. There has been some progress, as you heard, but I mean, I remember a very different experience, and I don't feel like we've gotten anywhere close to where I want to take my family back. I hope the current processes can get over the hump, but I question whether we're thinking big enough. Last night, I'm told there was a single gunshot in Dawson Park. I know what that means. In 2021, there was a fight in the park that led to a single gunshot being fired while my daughter and I were there. We hid behind a plastic piece of play equipment while seeing 2 men with guns looking at each other, both looking afraid, and decide whether to continue to fire at each other. They chose not to that day. We need a lot more people to make this choice. Thanks for your time and attention.
Thank you, Alan.
Next up, we have Jimmy Wilson.
Welcome, sir. Yeah, come on up. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be able to speak today. I really want to say we really appreciate Primo for coming out and doing what we had a letter sent out about 2 years ago with about 8 bullet points on it they almost, I think, completed them all around Dawson Park. So I want to give a thank you for Ann and I think her name was Tiffany, who's been meeting with me on a regular basis, trying to solve problems in Dawson Park. Dawson Park made a good effort. I'm dealing with the community on hand and face. So I just want to know, well, I don't want to know. I want to put it this way. You have to talk with the community to get the right answers and to get the right solutions done. And when we just met, I met with Ann and I met with Tiffany on the 5th of this month in Dawson Park to meet with the community, the Black community, concerning the Dominoes. Dominoes is a history of our fiber. That's what we do. That's what they do. And that brings them together. Brino told me that the city has approved to put 2 tables in the pavilion that's on the end, on the north, I think it's the northwest side of the park. That is very good. Took a minute, but time is very essential to getting things done that can load crime quickly. What the community is asking for is they needed to be sheltered off with a clear pour down or a glass shelter type window to block the elements. Now, I heard the Portland Police Bureau denied that because they want to make sure that you have a gun instead of or a can of soda in your hand. Listen, we have to time out for all that. We got to meet the community as where they're at so we can keep crime at a minimal level. Lastly, on that level, we have to do that. Another thing I want to say about the city administrator and the deputy administrator, you have to be able to come out, show your face, and you can't just shoot from a long stick to get the right answer. I want you to recognize Jonah. Jonah is the executive director of NEC and Neighborhood Coalition, doing an excellent job. Please support her, give her what she needs so we can move this the way we want it to move. You take 12 neighborhood associations at the beginning and dump 16 more on it. That's a lot of work, and it's not easy. And by you in your seat, calling shots and in the field, seeing what it takes to make that happen, that's not right.
All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Bliss Shu.
Hi, thank you. Thank you, Mayor Wheeler and the council for your recognition and statements and bringing this resolution. I'm Bliss, a Portland resident off and on for more than 25 years and have lived in the Elliott neighborhood for over 3. I live a block away from the southeast corner of the park at Rodney and Stanton. I see and appreciate what the city has been doing, especially the Safe Blocks team. This beautiful 2-acre historic site has become an area where parents don't feel comfortable bringing their kids. I don't feel comfortable taking my dog for a walk in my own neighborhood. As a neighbor to the park, I regularly wake up to drug paraphernalia, debris, and even human excrement in my yard and on my front porch. There was gunfire there just yesterday, and just a few months ago, someone was killed and another injured in a drug-related shooting where over 70 shell casings were found. As you still know, the southeast corner of Dawson Park is an open-air drug market. On any given day, there may be crack, cocaine, meth, and fentanyl being smoked in the neighboring areas. The sidewalk outside of the historic Immaculate Park is littered still with needles and debris. You can't walk down the street walk around the park without feeling unsafe. There have been numerous shootings in the area in and around the park. I'm here asking that Dawson Park and the Elliott neighborhood be and remain an area of focus and economic development. In order to retain cultural significance for BIPOC community, we need to provide resources and community activities in the parks. Things are getting better, so please don't take your eye off of this. I believe this means more enforcement of drug laws, on foot patrols, and consideration of the land in and around the park for economic development, specifically supporting Black Portlanders. In particular, looking at the areas on the southeast corner and looking for support and continued attention to that area. It's refreshing to hear something other than the city of Portland doesn't have resources to dispatch police to the area when we call for help, but we need more. Thank you. And if it's possible to cede my time back to Jimmy, if that is a possibility. I know I have about a minute left, and I know Jimmy has more to say.
Thank you. We try to keep everybody on the same page, just so that everybody's heard equally. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Valerie Burns.
Welcome, Valerie.
Hi, good morning, Council. My name is Valerie Burns, here to testify about Dawson's Park. The goal of my testimony is to support the resolution and put this on the record to inform the new council when it forms next year. On July 19th, 2024, around 4 p.m., a gunman who has still not been identified fired 70-plus rounds into Dawson's Park for 3 minutes, the length of time I am allowed to present today. On the corner of Morris and Williams, across the street from the park, there's a school where my 3-year-old daughter goes to preschool. The school has 50 kids, 15 staff, and 50 plus or so parents coming or going any given day. I was present during the July shooting and listened to the reaction at Dawson's and watched the horror as myself and 3 other families were doing pickup outside the school. It was traumatizing for both myself and my 3-year-old. I'm very sorry for the person that lost their life that day, albeit 2 months later at Dawson's Park. As of today, December 11th, the city has not protected our school any further than it had on July 19th. Over the summer, a very high drug user accidentally wandered into our school and had to be escorted out while school was in session. A homeless person, houseless person, climbed the fence and stole supplies. We cannot use our gym cafeteria, which actually does have windows facing Williams, due to illicit activities that may be occurring, such as overdoses, drug dealing, open drug use, or possible violence. The bus stop on the on the corner of Williams and Morris with bench and shelter is the site of frequent drug use during school hours. During the summer months, the kids cannot use the outside playground on school grounds because when it is warmer than 85 degrees due to possible dangerous activity at the park. The school has invested a lot of its own money to make itself safe given these circumstances and lack of support by the city, building a black iron fence around the playground and entrance as well as security doors. In the next couple months, the school will be spending $26,000 of its own money to put security cameras, more secure doors, a bigger fence and awning, essentially building a wall between the school and the park to keep everyone safe. And last but not least, the school cannot even use the city park, even though it is across the street due to current conditions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Terrence Hayes.
Good morning, Mayor and City Council. I appreciate this time. I want to start by saying that when we talk about Dawson Park and we're talking about its impact, when we talk about the history and we talk about redlining, there's always a very specific community that's been impacted, which is the Black community. And some of the language that I hear when we're talking about increasing arrests for drug use. It's really interesting because I rarely hear people use that language when we're talking about the general fentanyl pandemic. We're usually talking about resources. We're usually talking about workforce. We're generally talking about getting the help that people that struggle with addiction needs and deserves. And we're less talking about increasing police presence for arrests and maybe presence for deterrence. So I hope that our city manager understands the importance of when we're executing a Dawson Park plan, that we're taking into consideration the need for resources, opportunity, and addiction services, and that we're putting officers there that have an attitude and a mentality of serving community and less about necessarily how we think we can arrest our way out of drug addiction. We don't use that language when we're talking about it generally, and I would ask community to be careful not to use it when we're talking about a very specific people, which is when you go to Dawson Park, these are older Black people, and younger Black people that's using the park that's impacted by this violence at that rate. I will always stand on the fact that it's a little different from being impacted from a distance and when you're impacted sitting on those benches and in those spaces. And one of the things I would caution City Council now and in the future to start creating restrictions like parking restrictions. Parking restrictions are not going to decrease drug use presence. It's not going to decrease shooting in those areas. It's simply going to create narratives where people, namely Black folks who use those parking spaces and live in those areas, are going to have interactions with police that are not necessary. So we need to be looking through a lens of resources, accessibility, and cultural competence, right? We got to stop avoiding the language that says those are Black people and generally older Black people that play dominoes and live and use drugs in Dawson Park, right? We play a lot of language games to feel good about ourselves, and we're not really considering the impact of people. So first of all, I want to say thank you. I've been a part of the work that this council to invest in that community. Mayor, I love the work you've done and been conscious of Dawson Park and Black folks over there. I pray that the new council put in that same energy. I love that this city council has done that without question, and I expect that you guys are going to put things in play. I just hope our city manager and the city execute it in a way that is culturally competent and consider folks, Black folks that's impacted. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Terrence. Appreciate your testimony.
Next up, we have Andrew Champion online.
Hey, Andrew.
I hope I'm audible. Thank you for having me. I was going to say, for a bit more than 100 years, Dawson Park has been the hub of the Albina and subsequently Elliott communities. It's been through a couple of iterations, from a pasture to a school playfield, and then the city park I see today. After World War II, the Vanport flood brought Portland's Black community to Albina, but it wasn't long before planning was underway to displace it again. A freeway, then urban renewal, tore through it, starving the park of its users and leaving a vacuum easily filled with 3 generations now of vice and violence. This year alone, I've witnessed 2 incidents of gun violence, 1 fatal, and reported even more as recently as last night. This kind of senselessness is continuing even as it declines in the rest of the city. All of us, including the city, need to remain vigilant against the persistent threats of both gentrification and violence. The park can only be as rich in history as people can be there to fully appreciate it. I support the city's resolution to sustain its efforts to restore the legacy of Dawson Park and our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew.
That completes testimony, Mayor.
All right, why don't we have Stephanie and Schuyler, if you could come on back up. Commissioner Mapps.
Well, number one, Mr. Mayor, I want to thank you for your leadership in this space. And I look out in the room and I know I see many members of the community and many city staffers who helped bring this project forward. As long as we have you in the room, one of the things I wanted to get some clarity on is what happens next? What needs to happen on this project over the course of the next 365 days or so?
Yeah, I can speak a little bit to our team's work. So we will continue to host those problem solver meetings. Obviously, like I mentioned, a lot of those site walks. As Jimmy mentioned, I think meeting also with members of the community who regularly meet there. So folks who are playing dominoes, et cetera. And then I think we'll also continue to host those events. They've been really successful with our outreach teams. Terrence mentioned kind of behavioral health resources. We have those at those events. So behavioral health outreach workers, folks who can provide some shelter, food, kind of access to different resources. And we've seen a lot of people take us up on that. I think there were 150 people last week at an event there. So it's been very successful, and I think we'll continue to do those. I think this will continue to evolve depending on what the community's needs are. So you heard a lot of testimony about increased resources and vigilance and not letting our foot off the gas, and we don't intend to. So at least the resources I have access to, we will continue to make this a priority. I will just also speak to our coordination call meetings. Dawson Park is always at the forefront. We mention it every single day. We work with Parks and their team, as well as a lot of different outreach teams in the city, and say this is a place that we really think there needs to be intense outreach. So I mentioned it this morning on a behavioral health coordination call, and we'll just continue to do that.
If I could just add also, I think I'll take this opportunity just to emphasize what I think this council has done really well, which is support a holistic approach to problems like this. It includes public safety in the traditional sense with law enforcement and others, but also in the community-based sense. So the ceasefire program, the work of the Office of Violence Prevention, the work of Safe Blocks, and all of these pieces working together, that really, in my opinion, is what we need to continue to press forward with and even expand on. And just so that it hopefully is reassuring, I do just want to make it clear that there was the person with regard to the summertime shooting with the many casings, there was an arrest made in that case. So I hope that just is reassuring, just so that folks know that.
Great, thank you. Go ahead.
Sorry, and I also just want to let folks know that we are working with the hospital and their team. And so there are those buildings that was mentioned. I think that is an area of concern for our team. Lighting won't really solve that problem necessarily because there is a lack of people like walking through. There's a lack of foot traffic between the buildings, and there are no windows. So I think that's actually a structural and kind of environmental design issue that we will continue to work with Legacy on.
Okay, thank you, and I'm glad to hear all of that good news. In those comments, you touched on a theme that I did want to follow up on. Your comments talked about the role this council played in bringing this project forward. What role does the next council play here? Do we know, or?
Well, I think there's certainly a budgetary role that they're going to play in how resources are deployed across the city. I think also there are opportunities for those council members, and we're fortunate we've got Commissioner Ryan in that district along with his colleagues who will bring that sort of institutional knowledge of the efforts that we've seen success in and be able to help advocate for those with his colleagues. I think that's the foremost role that they would play. But I think in general, understanding all of the work that has happened and really, helping to continue to support that alignment and that, again, that holistic approach to addressing these issues.
Thank you. And I got one last question. One of the pieces of advice that we heard for future members of council is to pay attention to this project, particularly to the budget piece of this. Where does this fit into the budget? Is this a Portland Solutions thing? Is this a police thing? Is this what I still think of as crime prevention thing? Or
All of the above.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I learned a lot, and I'm very proud of the work that is before us today.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Ryan.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And thank you for your focus on this the entire time I've worked with you. Can you give me an example of the people in the community you're meeting with to keep them apprised and, more importantly, to listen to their input?
Yeah.
It's at the table.
I think there's various meetings happening, so I'll speak first to problem solver meetings, and I know Jimmy mentioned Tiffany Penson has also been, I think, helping organize a lot of community members as well, so we really appreciate her work. But in the problem solver meeting specifically, we're meeting with neighborhood associations, residents of the local area, parents, I know at that preschool that was mentioned, also meeting with them separately. I know Dakota Thompson has been doing that as well. Small business owners in the area, as well as some of the new businesses. So that health clinic that was mentioned, the Prism Health Clinic, Central City Concern has kind of that affordable housing complex. So there are some different kind of players of folks who are right on that park who we meet with, as well as the hospital. They are welcome to those meetings. And then we also meet with them separately as kind of part of our continued work with health systems.
And there have also been multiple meetings over the years, smaller meetings with various community members. I've had the good fortune to sit down with Jimmy a few times and try to talk about these issues and try to really listen. Those meetings kind of happen all the time with different folks who are, living in the area who we've built relationships with as well.
Is it an advisory team? Is it one group? Or right now you've been meeting with frequent groups? Like is the Legacy there at the same meeting with the neighborhood association?
Yes, so that's the problem solver meeting is the most holistic, I would say, bringing a lot of those groups together. But as Stephanie mentioned, there's other organic kind of meetings that are happening as well. And so we'll continue to engage in those.
And we would contact you for the frequency of these meetings, and maybe when you're in a new role in District 2, you could have access to that meeting.
Absolutely. So yes, so that would be Ann Hill from PIMO would run those meetings, and we can connect you with any of those problem solver meetings that you'd like to attend.
Okay, PIMO. Has one idea come up that is about, like, the hospital has so many employees, and of course, they now and then get a break. Is there just any mobilization of activation that comes from those larger groups, and are they doing that?
Yeah, it's a great question. So they're doing some of that. They will attend those events that we host. They'll engage with our different teams. They've also invited outreach workers or police officers to have a meal in the hospital and just kind of engage with their staff, which I really appreciate. So they want to be great partners in that area. I also think, like I mentioned to Commissioner Mapps, I think there is an opportunity to talk about development of some of those buildings and what can be done to kind of mobilize folks around that space and increase foot traffic. So whether that's the staff or whether that's folks coming to the hospital or whether that's folks just having a patio to enjoy the space, something like that I think could be a creative problem solving space for the hospital and the city.
Okay, that was helpful. Thanks.
All right, very good. If there's no further questions, this is a resolution. Please call the roll.
Maps.
I want to thank everyone who has worked on this project. I'll tell you, I'm the dad of a 14-year-old who plays basketball, and he plays basketball in this park. So it's an important resource in my life. I'll also tell you the history of this particular park is rich and deep, and I think it's important that this council honor it by moving forward with the work that's been done to make this space safer for the entire community, which is why I am proud to support this resolution, which reaffirms our commitment to reducing crime, improving livability, and supporting community in and around Dawson Park. As we have learned today, Dawson Park is more than just a neighborhood green space. It is a cultural and historic cornerstone for Portland, particularly for Portland's African American community. However, like many areas in the city, Dawson Park has faced some significant challenges, including gun violence and safety concerns. I want to congratulate and thank the mayor and many people in this room for the progress that we've made in making the space safer. And we've made that progress through community collaborations and innovative strategies. But as we've also heard today, our work is not done. This resolution helps ensure that our collective efforts will continue even as the city undergoes a leadership transition and government reform. It also reinforces the importance of engaging directly with the community to build sustainable solutions, which is why I vote aye.
Rubio.
I want to thank the mayor and his team for their leadership on this. I strongly support this resolution and what it represents. Today, we're sending a message that the work is not done yet, and that, as we've heard in testimony, we need to continue this with intention and focus to improve upon the work that's already been done to improve safety and livability in and around Dawson Park. And during this time of transition, we're also sending a message that it needs to continue with leadership from the city as well to prioritize it. Finally, I just want to give a big appreciation to Stephanie and Sky and Anne, Tiffany, and all the numerous city program teams and staff and community that have given so much to this collaboration. So I'm happy to vote aye.
Ryan.
Yeah, thank you to everyone for showing up and giving testimony today, and to the many who also submitted written testimony to my office. Clearly, there are a lot of community members that are engaged in this issue. It's a clear example where the community is truly a partner, and the city can only do this restorative work with you. And so it was nice to hear that there is a system, and it sounds like it's evolving. And I'm grateful to hear about that. And Mayor Wheeler, thank you. I know you've devoted a lot of time to this work. You've been on foot in the area many times, and you've kept us focused on this very complex public safety challenge and also really big opportunity for that neighborhood. I'm a frequent traveler in the area and soon to be counselor in District 2, as you acknowledged. And the Dawson Park safety for the neighbors, the children, the families, and the elders who play dominoes and such is all very close to my heart. I'm just reminiscing a bit. When I lived in New York in the 80s, I lived near the Alphabet area and Thompson Square. And it was really all of us that decided to help activate the park, and it really helped a lot. It was kind of scary at first, but we just kept doing it. So the habit really did help a lot. And that was the first time I played dominoes in a park. However, today's testimony, the written testimony we received, keeps telling us that this severity of this problem, especially with the shooting this summer, and I think some people who testified feeling like they haven't been in the loop since then or things haven't improved. It's complex and it needs our constant attention. So I've learned that resolutions are smart because it gives us a vision and a roadmap. And I appreciate your questions, Commissioner Mapps. It was very helpful. It's really acknowledging that this is a priority that we can't not rest on, that we must continue to focus it, and there'll need to be resources. I also appreciate your question on which budget it came out of, and your answer was, well, it makes me want to ask more questions, but it sounded like it could come from multiple sources. But really what you're saying is that this will be an enterprise collaboration, so it won't just be back in the days of trying to get one or two bureaus to focus on something. It'll be multiple. And I appreciate that we're now answering questions actually like that in a different way. So I went way off script, and my main point is that I look forward to being focused on this with my fellow councilors from District 2, Councilor-elect Canal and Pertogini. I'll make sure to let them know that this was an item. They're probably already watching because they're so good at their jobs already. And I hope that when I see the police in the room that we've talked about a recent grant. I know it's not big enough, but I got very excited that bike patrols can go beyond downtown. And this would be a great example of where we could do some targeted bike controls near in an area that really does have a lot of activation. Thank you for all your good work. I look forward to seeing this evolve. I vote aye.
Gonzalez.
Thank you for the work on this resolution, ongoing efforts in Dawson Park. It's obviously a part of the city that has very unique history and components, but it is part of a broader narrative, our challenges as a community in the last few years. We were once one of the safest cities in America, and overnight we became average. And that's been painful for every Portlander, everyone involved in public service, every public safety professional. And also, we are a community that talks much about compassion. The story of Dawson Park's a reminder we need to talk about compassion for children, for parents, for those who protect and nurture and care for them. Also for our seniors that are all negatively impacted when we struggle with public safety. And as the torch is handed off to the new form of government, I just hope that we remember that compassion is extended in many directions, including the residents of the city, including the children trying to grow in the city, the families trying to thrive, and seniors aging in place. I vote aye.
Wheeler.
Well, I want to thank everybody for being here today, especially those of you who testified. I want to acknowledge the very real experiences that have been shared with us today. Nobody should have to live with the kinds of things that you've lived with, and I greatly empathize with each of you. I know that we all want to address these problems in a way that is meaningful and which can be sustained over the long term. That requires strong collaboration, both within city bureaus as well as with community partners to create a broad approach to addressing the issues we heard about. The commission form of government, to be blunt, really held the city back from bringing this kind of coordination to its full potential. But I'm very pleased with the work that staff has done. We've had the executive branch up and running for 6 months, but even prior to that, there were many, many people within the city, many of our city employees who are already working together, collaborating, pulling together, and understanding that there is no single solution to the issues that we're experiencing in Dawson Park or the Dawson Park neighborhood. I believe the work that has begun in this area is actually a fantastic example of how our new form of government strengthens what works and what is possible when we actually do work collaboratively. While there's obviously a lot of work to do, and we heard that from people who testified loudly and clearly, I am very proud of the work that's been done so far by many of our public servants. The good people represent many bureaus, including obviously the Portland Police Bureau, but also our Parks Bureau, PBOT, Safe Blocks, the Street Services Coordination Center, the Office of Violence Prevention, Portland Ceasefire, Portland Solutions, and that is only a partial list of the many city programs that want nothing more than to work with this community and improve the lives of people who live in this community. As is outlined in the resolution, city teams from these many different bureaus and offices have added tree lighting installation to promote safety. They've held numerous community building events to promote access to resources like housing and healthcare, navigating unhoused neighbors into the city's temporary alternative shelter site, tiny homes, launched a pilot project to reduce permitting barriers for community events to be held in Dawson Park specifically. They installed bollards to keep the park free from dangerous vehicles. It established parking interventions to deter illegal parking that facilitated unsafe drug use, developed on-call cleaning and power washing contracts for biohazards in the area, hazard material pickups, that could include sharps, trash, and the like, to promote cleanliness, provided funding to increase the improve the educational art installations in the park, increased police presence at the request of the community to include both the walking and biking patrols, as Commissioner Ryan indicated, and above all else, establish regular meetings to ensure that the community has a forum to gather, to share, and to tackle these problems together through the problem solver meetings. Again, nobody's declaring victory here today, but the trends are good. The formula that we have in place, the collaborations that currently exist, need to stay in place, and we need to continue to build off the momentum that we have already established. And that is our message to the incoming mayor and council. With that, I vote aye, and the resolution is adopted. Thank you all. Thanks, Skylar. Thanks, Steph. Thank you. Colleagues, we're going to have to move one item up front here right now because we need our city legal counsel present for it. That is item 1083, the first reading of a non-emergency ordinance.
Amend contract with Northwest Success Incorporated to add funds for janitorial services not to exceed $2,450,000.
Yeah, so 1083, just since I'm already confusing everybody, I want to be clear, 1083 is a second reading, but there's some clarification that we wanted to put on the table today. And so I've asked Heidi to come back and give us a little more exposure on this.
Great, thank you. Good morning, Mayor, and good morning, Council. Good to see you all today. Just briefly, this is a contract between the city and Northwest Success for some services at parks. And for those services, they are janitorial services, and we do have a labor peace agreement under our procurement policy that applies to janitorial, security, and a third one that's just escaping me right this minute. I apologize. And so what this contract falls under that procurement policy, and there was an exception provided because the Northwest Success had agreed to follow certain requirements in order to meet that exception. The requirements are that they engage in good faith bargaining, which I understand that they did. If that's not successful, that then they move to mediation. And if that's not successful, that then they move to binding interest arbitration. And then the arbitrator would then decide what the outcome of that would be. They did get to mediation, but then that got put on hold, and it sounds like we have different versions of events between what Northwest Success believes happened and what SEIU believes happens in their efforts to come to a labor peace agreement. However, where we are today is that next Tuesday, Northwest Success and SEIU are going to have their mediation session, so that's great. We'll proceed with the process that we require in order to comply with this exception. I think our expectation is that regardless of you funding this contract today, which is all that's before you, that if Northwest Success were to fail to follow through on the exception requirements, in other words, fail to go to mediation or fail to go to binding interest arbitration if the mediation is unsuccessful, that would be a breach of our contract because that was a condition for granting the contract. And then we could certainly follow up on a breach of contract if that were the case. So I'm happy to answer any questions, and if there's something council wants to do or assurances, or have me come back if there's concerns by either SEIU or Northwest Success that the parties aren't engaging in our exception process as required. Also happy to do that, whatever you would like.
Great. We'll start with Commissioner Maps. I may have some follow-ups as well.
Yeah, and actually, I think this is more of a statement to my colleagues on council. Last week, when we first heard this, we heard some concerns from SEIU about whether or not Success Northwest or Northwest Success was in compliance with this council's policy around labor peace agreements. And that is a grievance that has been out there for a long time, frankly. I'm kind of agnostic on it. Really glad to hear that the parties are engaged in mediation, which we learned today will start or at least take place on next Tuesday. I'll tell you, I think I have a preference for voting on this, delaying the vote today until next week, so at least we have some feedback on how those mediation conversations go.
Well, let me ask a follow-up question. It's related to that. So my understanding is that this organization was granted an exception by the Parks Bureau, correct?
Well, it's the commissioner in charge that grants the exception, but in collaboration with Parks, with the understanding that the exception is given because the contractor is going to comply or already has complied.
Okay,
with
so
that.
at some time in the past, the commissioner in charge granted that exception.
Right.
It requires peace labor between this organization and SEIU. They have a dispute. That dispute is being mediated. That mediation could go one way or it could go another way. That mediation could last a while or it could be quick. If mediation does not succeed, then it goes to binding arbitration. So that would be the next step in the process. If at the end of that process, the labor peace agreement is not adhered to, then the council could terminate the contract. Is that correct?
That's right.
So the council still has that tool available in the event that mediation and or binding arbitration do not reach an acceptable conclusion. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so what we're actually being asked to do is fund the contract. We've already been funding it for what, a year-ish, I believe?
A year and a half,
Something
I
like that,
believe.
year and a half. This would continue funding for the work that is being done between now and I think the end of the fiscal year. Is that correct? So
That's what I
basically
understand.
for a couple of more months till June 30th.
That's right.
At the end of that time period, so you have both the mediation, you have the binding arbitration, and you have the cessation of funding at the end of the fiscal year. What happens at the end of the fiscal year with this contract?
Well, I
Mr. Mayor,
assume
maybe
that Parks.
I'll jump in there.
Yes,
Just
Administrator
because
Jordan.
the contract is expected to terminate on June 30. And so we're preparing to do an RFP for a new contract beginning July 1st. The services need to continue. They're janitorial services at Parks facilities. So the services need to continue, but we're going to be doing a new RFP and be able to award a new contract beginning July 1st.
Okay, so it sounds like there are multiple off-ramps here, if I'm understanding this process correctly. Mediation being one of those off-ramps, binding arbitration being a potential off-ramp, and the hard off-ramp or dead end, if you will, is that the contract expires and then will be opened up for anybody who would like to bid on that contract at the end of the fiscal year. Do I have that basically correct?
The only other one I would add in is that if at any point in the process there is a failure to comply with our labor peace agreement, we also have a breach of contract.
So we could end at any time we want.
That would be another avenue.
Okay, so what this ordinance is narrowly asking for is funding to continue to fund the contract that is currently in place. And then there's a separate process whereby the labor peace agreement is being adjudicated, I guess is how I would put that.
I think that's right. And
Okay, all right, thank you. This is complicated stuff, and I appreciate you maybe taking a step back for my benefit.
No, it's great.
Great. Any further questions? Commissioner Ryan and then Commissioner Maps.
Yeah, Commissioner Ryan, you got something?
Yeah, and I'm confused on right now if we're going to table this for 1 week and allow the meeting to take place next Tuesday.
Whatever you all
Meeting
prefer.
is taking place next Tuesday.
The mediation is scheduled for next Tuesday, and I think there had been some interest expressed by Commissioner Maps in just waiting a week to just ensure that that process occurs. Just so you all know, I have federal court mediation that day on DOJ, so I won't be able to, but I have another colleague in my office who can be here if there are further questions that come up. And the Parks Bureau will be able to be here and assure you that the mediation occurred for that day. As the mayor noted, you know, and as you all know, sometimes mediation takes more than 1 day. It may or may not, but at least I think Commissioner Mapp's concern is that at least you'd know the one mediation had occurred as scheduled, and you could talk about it the following day. It's up to you, whichever way you go. I think either way you can get to the right end, because we do have a breach of contract if the mediation fails to occur, which I think is SEIU's concern. That would be a breach of what our requirement is as a condition precedent to them getting the contract, was to comply with our labor peace agreement.
And Heidi and Commissioner Ryan, if I may jump in here, I appreciate the mayor's concerns about not moving forward today, and I recognize the city has to pay its contractors and whatnot. On the other hand, I think it's important that our contracts be in compliance with city policy. I recognize this is a somewhat messy ordinance, or at least process right here. I'll tell you, what I plan to do before we vote on this is to introduce a motion to postpone the vote on this for 1 week. And at this hour, I can't tell you how I'm going to vote next week, but I think it would be helpful and probably bring some clarity to everybody's thinking over the course of the next 8 days or so, if we allowed this one to sit for 7 days.
Well, if I may. just
Sure.
Counterpoint, and I appreciate what you're doing. This will set a precedent. We already have an agreed upon process to resolve labor peace. It's mediation and it's arbitration. Did I understand that correctly?
That's right.
So we're now adding a new component, which is the council can sit here and decide whether we like the mediation or not. If we don't get to a point in mediation that is acceptable, is it your intention that we terminate the contract without the arbitration clause being enacted? I don't understand what we're doing.
No, I think my understanding is that SEIU, Northwest Success and SEIU do not agree on what's been happening over the course of the events.
Which could happen.
Excuse me?
Which could happen. That's why you have mediation.
That's why there's mediation. There's a disagreement on whether people have followed through with mediation in the way it was intended. And I think SEIU feels like Northwest Success didn't follow through. Northwest Success feels like they did follow through and agreed to go, and then it got postponed.
So this would happen on
So,
Tuesday of
I
next
think-
week.
Yes, and I think this is
Our
just,
last meeting as a council is the next morning. How,
it would only assure you, it would only give you some information about whether or not that first mediation session actually occurred.
I could finish where I was.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Sorry, Dan.
All right. So have they ever had this meeting before?
They have not had, my understanding is they have not engaged in mediation. It's been postponed, which I think is why SEIU is concerned about it.
Yeah. And as a commissioner in charge that I've shared with another Commissioner Rubio's had these moments as well. It's like talking to two different universes on this issue. And I'm excited that there's finally going to be this step. So I kind of want to keep the pressure on, if you will, that this meeting actually takes place. Because I've heard about this meeting occurring maybe before in the past and it hasn't. So I think just for accountability's sake, I don't know what the harm would be to wait 1 week just to ensure that this meeting actually finally takes place. And so I would be comfortable with delaying it 1 week if I don't see any harm in doing that. I mean, we all want one thing, which is when a parent goes to a park, one, they'd love the bathroom to be open, and then two, they'd like it to be clean. And these are tough, messy jobs, and we have to continue to look at the bigger picture, which is the practice that I think a lot of Portlanders want us to improve. So clearly, we don't want to ever stop these services. And I don't see any harm in waiting 1 week. It wouldn't stop the service of actually keeping the bathrooms clean, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I'm warm to the idea of postponing it 1 week, and for the reasons that my experience on this council is that it's been really hard to get this meeting scheduled, and it feels like there's finally some momentum that will happen.
Yeah, I just want to chime in too, having had the Parks Bureau at the start of this issue, I don't know where it landed later, but I do know it was an important time to see that this process play out. So in terms of making sure that there's a following of the process and that there's good intent and that we're doing our diligence, I don't think there's a harm in waiting a week for goodwill reasons on all sides.
Yeah, and if I may circle in, and I want to thank both of my colleagues for their comments here. And to clarify for the mayor and staff, at least my motivation here, I don't prejudge whether or not the contractor in this space is in compliance with our labor peace agreements. I think that's why we have mediation or whatnot. This is an issue I've been following from a distance for a couple of years now. One of the consistent challenges we seem to have in this space is to get these folks to sit down and have mediation. I'm told that those meetings tend to get canceled in the last minute or so. One of the reasons why I'd like to hold off on voting on this today is it is the last bit of influence I have on helping these folks get to the table for mediation. And so that's why I hope mediation goes well. While I'm agnostic in terms of how it turns out, this has been a troubled space for many years. I think this is the last productive and constructive thing I can do in order to kind of move this conversation forward.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
I guess mostly for my colleagues. So what happens if the mediation doesn't occur? If it gets canceled at the last minute? I mean, that's more of a question. Does it change a vote? I mean, does it change your perspective on this? It's not. I'm not asking a technical legal question. I'm asking from a policymaker's perspective.
Commissioner Gonzalez, I can only speak for myself here. So I kind of understand it. We've entered into a contract with this service provider to provide an important service to the city, like cleaning up our parks and bathrooms and whatnot. We got to pay our bills. At the same time, the city of Portland and this council has a policy that says, our contractors will be supportive of labor peace agreements. And there's some controversy about whether or not this particular contractor is in compliance with that principle. And we have processes that are designed to bring all of this together. The process for that is mediation. What historically we find is mediation falls apart at the last minute. And I don't necessarily know why mediation tends to not happen at the last minute. The one thing I can kind of do is frankly control the clock and make sure that I don't vote on if we vote on this today, I don't know whether mediation will happen or not, and I think everyone's approaching this in good faith and whatnot, but sometimes these meetings apparently don't happen. And I don't know if there's I think if we vote today, the incentives for this meeting to happen are reduced.
I guess, I mean, I don't mean to put anyone on the spot. I'm just trying to understand the assumptions. Are we assuming it's the vendor that's causing the lack of mediation? I mean, is that where you'd put your bet? Honestly, I'm the least close to this.
Right.
I'm just trying to understand.
SEIU's, I'll just tell you what SEIU tells me. SEIU tells me, these meetings, the vendor in this situation tends to cancel mediation meetings. On the other hand, we've been going around on this for years, and I'm still not clear about whether or not we are really in violation of our policies around labor peace agreements. And I'm not the ultimate arbitrator here at this moment. We have processes, mediation and whatnot to figure this out. All I can kind of do is create an environment which encourages people to kind of come to the table and sort this out. It's not a perfect thing. It's not a perfect situation. Frankly, there are probably about 3 or 4 different things happening in this particular contract, which just kind of make it messy.
Well, I'm just trying to play through like what happens, right? Like, let's say the vendor is delaying mediation. Let's say they don't show up, they cancel at the last minute. Then are we not approving this amendment? I mean,
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I will still vote if this comes back, if the meeting gets canceled and this comes back next week, I'm going to vote for it because the city has to pay its bills. I do think that puts the council or the next council in a kind of dilemma where this contract seems to be kind of out of compliance with our policies around labor peace agreements. And I don't know if there's enough time on our clocks to sort that out.
Follow-up question for you, Heidi. Have we made a determination at this point that we believe the vendor is out of compliance with its contractual obligations here? Or is that an open question from your vantage point?
It's an open question, I think, provided they follow through next week. I think if they don't follow through next week, I'd be concerned about whether they're in breach of our contract based on the labor peace agreement policy.
And can I jump in here and maybe ask a clarifying question? Because this is complicated. I think it's my understanding that we approved this contract and the contractor has been providing services, but one of the reasons why this ordinance is before us today is that we neglected to move money around to actually pay the contract. Is that roughly correct?
Yeah, I mean, DCA Beery might be able to better answer this, but what I can tell you, my understanding is that the contract, that the services were used and we were able to extend it, and we can use them up to 1.25 million, but under our procurement processes. But we've now hit that mark. And so now in order to continue to use their services, we need additional funding for this contract because we've exceeded what procurement can authorize.
And so does that mean if we don't approve the amendment that we have is the incremental amount cover services already rendered, or is it covering future services?
I'm not 100% sure. I think there may have been some services rendered that would be, we would be doing owing, and maybe it'd be a more prospective question, and we'd have to come to you about settling, that maybe they'd have a contractual argument against us for the payment of any monies due and owing for past services. And then it would be a question of looking at, are we going to continue to use their services forward if you don't fund the contract moving forward?
Yeah, I'm just concerned
for the rest of the year
by what precedent we're creating here. If they provide services, we have a financial obligation. I mean, I do understand combining that if they're not meeting their obligations under the peace agreements, that's essentially a counterclaim. But I don't know. I don't know what precedents we're creating here if we choose not to approve this ultimately. And I'm still I understand the general point.
Sure. Although I will point out, I'm not saying today I'm not making the argument that we should vote no on this ordinance, and unfortunately, I don't think this council really has the option to vote no on this ordinance. What I do think that we can do is we have some flexibility on when we vote on this, and I think that if we vote on this a week from today as opposed to today, we increase the probability that at least mediation session next Tuesday will happen. And I also want to invite the city administrator. I don't know how closely you've been following this particular contract.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I have been following it fairly closely.
Yeah.
I think that if the mediation does not occur, I think the city is going to have to look at whether the vendor is in breach. We've had other contracts in other situations where we thought the vendor might have been in breach on an element of the contract not associated with paying it. And so when you get into that situation, no matter what brings you there, when you get into it, it's a delicate situation. These people are providing services that the Bureau needs, that the community hopes happen, and yet you're in a contract dispute with them. And so that's a delicate situation, no matter how you get there. It is. And if the mediation doesn't occur, I think we're really close to that delicate situation. So
So could I just ask then a follow-up to that question? And I want to be clear, I'm hearing my counsel and a majority is saying, can we wait a week? And I'm hearing Heidi say it doesn't hurt if we wait a week, but I happen to agree with Commissioner Gonzalez. I'm not sure it changes anything. It certainly doesn't from my perspective. But if we got to a point where Heidi came in on the 18th and said, I think they're in breach, I think what that means is we don't pass this and the next council deals with it, because we won't have time to put anything together that we could act on.
So there's,
We'll have literally less than 12 hours.
you could authorize the funding to pay for any services that have already been rendered.
We have a legal
and to-
obligation to do that.
And to pay for any services that maybe the Bureau needs to use while we go through the breach process. But generally, contracts have a whole process of notification of the breach, give them an opportunity to fix it. So it's not the next day, we're going to end the contract because they're in breach. We have to go through the process of
Yeah, so
of breach.
I'll just be very transparent from my perspective. I'm going to vote for this a week from now, but I'm certainly willing to, if the majority would like us to continue this for 1 week, there's probably no harm in that. I just don't see how anything changes. I agree with Commissioner Gonzalez on that point.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate your clarity on that. Do we need to make a motion in order to get that done? I move to postpone the second reading and vote on item 1083 to December 18th, 2024. Thank you.
Commissioner Maps, moves. Commissioner Ryan seconds. Any further discussion on the amendment? Call the roll.
Maps,
Aye.
Rubio,
Aye.
Lyon,
Aye.
Gonzalez.
I don't think this changes anything, but I'll go with the majority and vote aye.
Wheeler.
I'm going to heavily plagiarize Commissioner Gonzalez's speech because I agree with him wholeheartedly. I vote aye, and we then have agreed to table this until next week. Is it a time certain or just to the regular?
Regular.
Okay, so we'll take this up again in 1 week. Thank you.
And I'll have Fallon Majors here for me.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you
And
both.
we'll obviously need an update on what happened the day before.
We'll get that for you.
All right, cool, thank you. Yep, appreciate it. All right, thank you, everybody, for your patience. We needed Heidi's expertise before she disappeared to her next obligation. We will now go to item 1067, which is a time certain. If you could read 1067, 1068, and 1069. They are all second readings and they are all related.
1067, adopt the Montgomery Park Area Plan, including amendments to the comprehensive plan map, zoning code, citywide design guidelines, and related amendments to the Guilds Lake Industrial Sanctuary and Northwest District plans. Item 1068, adopt the locally preferred alternative for the Montgomery Park Transit Project. Item 1069, authorize agreement between the city, Portland Streetcar Incorporated, and 1535-A1 LLC for public benefits related to the Montgomery Park Area Plan.
Colleagues, this is the second reading of an ordinance to adopt the Montgomery Park Area Plan, which includes amendments to the comprehensive plan map, the zoning code, the citywide design guidelines, and related area plans as amended. Are there any additional discussions on these items before we vote? All right, very good. Before we vote, I just want to thank staff. I want to thank our many community partners, some of whom are back in the room today, and all of those who came out and testified on this important planning effort. I want to particularly recognize the following city staff members who don't often get acknowledged for their tremendous work: Barry Manning, Joan Frederickson, Cassie Ballou, Shannon Bueno, Ryan Singer, and Patricia Diefendorfer, at BPS, and Sean Canny and Mauricio Leclerc at PBOT, as well as Dan Bauer at the Portland Streetcar Incorporated. The Montgomery Park Area Plan and Streetcar Extension will advance many of the city's housing, economic development, and climate resiliency goals. It will send a message to investors that Portland is still a great place to build and to start a business, and continues a long tradition of creating strong, unique neighborhoods where Portlanders can live, work, and play. So with that, we will call the roll. The first item is the ordinance 1067, please.
Maps.
Aye.
Rubio.
These three items represent an incredible amount of work for staff in BPS and PBOT, as well as our friends at Portland Streetcar and many community members who have been tracking this work for years, if not decades. I'm really grateful for the engagement also of the York Group, and we have a name for this district that honors this important historical figure. And together, these actions set the stage for the transformation of yet another new area of Portland that's really exciting and represents our next generation moving forward. So I'm very hopeful that in the coming years, we'll be able to celebrate also news of federal funding for transportation resources as well. So with that, I'm happy to vote aye.
Ryan.
So we read all three of them, right?
Yeah, but we're just voting on the first one, 1067.
Well, I think, like Commissioner Rubio, I'll go ahead and do my remarks now. With land use hearings, it tends to feel like we just keep repeating ourselves because you have to come back so many times. So thank you to all the stakeholders who have invested a lot of time in this room over the last 2 months. I appreciate that. I appreciate the fluid dialogue that we had, even now that we're calling it the York District as opposed to Montgomery. So that evolved during these conversations. I think that matters. I also really appreciate that you understood the amendment that I was bringing. It was that we have many stakeholders that want the same thing, which is prosperity for our city, a city that will provide careers that actually allow you to live in the city. We call them middle wage jobs, for lack of a better term at the moment. And I'm glad that we're going to look at that data, because I think sometimes there's speculation that when the new shiny development is where people move to and then they left another one. And what we need is net gain in terms of those types of careers. And I know everyone wants that same thing. So it's important for us to make sure that we're committed to that objective type study, so we aren't in the world of speculation. So thank you for that. Patricia and your team, thank you. It's always gratifying to see how much knowledge you all possess in each of these meetings. And I really do appreciate it as somebody that doesn't dive in, obviously, in the same way that you do. And you answered so many questions. I think for me, it was, as a city, we have a high lease rate right now when it comes to a lot of our commercial properties. And we don't have a high lease percentage for our industrial lands. So I think all the stakeholders know that. And so I just had to make sure that we weren't damaging that opportunity for those industrial docks. And I think we worked out enough of the details on that to make it a win-win. And I appreciate the work that went into that. It wasn't easy. With the spirit of moving forward and knowing that since I'll be on the next council, I have a feeling this will come up again. I look forward to being here and being enthusiastic to help support the evolution of such an important part of our city. And I vote aye.
Gonzalez.
Just a static on the private-public partnership here that will revitalize a really dormant part of Northwest. Want to recognize the effectiveness of staff in solving complex problems here, in scaffolding different potential sources of funding for both the transportation and other redevelopment. I would like to reiterate the caution really to those listening in the future council. We have to protect industrial land and think about it over the long haul. Those are family wage jobs, incredibly diverse workforce. And if we don't protect the land, we're going to have challenges in protecting jobs over the long haul. Having said all of that, that's just a caveat. I think that's a broader policy conversation than just this project. I wholeheartedly vote aye.
Wheeler.
Aye. The ordinance is adopted. Next, we are going to vote on item 1068. It's a resolution to adopt the LPA, the locally preferred alternative for the Montgomery Park Streetcar Extension Transit Project. Is there any other discussion on this one? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Maps.
Colleagues, I'm proud to vote in favor of adopting the locally preferred alternative for the Montgomery Park Transit Project. This proposal reflects years of thoughtful planning, robust community engagement, and a commitment to making Northwest Portland more accessible, more equitable, and more sustainable. Extending the streetcar to Montgomery Park will connect residents to jobs, housing, and services while reducing our reliance on cars. This project exemplifies how transit investments can shape neighborhoods, creating vibrant, walkable spaces that benefit all Portlanders. I am particularly pleased with the focus on equity in this plan, which prioritizes affordable housing, middle wage job creation, and accessible transit options. It is a testament to what we can achieve when we listen to our community and plan with intention. I want to thank PBOT, the Bureau of Planning and Sustainability, and the many residents and stakeholders who contributed to this effort. Your vision and dedication make this project possible, which is why I vote aye.
Rubio.
Aye.
Ryan.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
I'm going to once again vote aye on this one. I do think some of the testimony was important in this area that as we think about a future lid, that we're thinking about the equities of who's benefiting and who's being burdened. I leave that to our staff to figure that one out as this comes forward. But I vote aye.
Wheeler.
All right, the resolution is adopted. Colleagues, the last item, 1069, is an ordinance to adopt the Montgomery Park Public Benefits Agreement as amended. Are there any other comments or discussion on this before we call the roll? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Maps.
Aye.
Rubio.
Aye.
Ryan.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye. The ordinance is adopted. Thank you, everybody. I know a lot of people in this room put a ton of time into this. Thank you so much. The ordinance is adopted. We'll take a 10-minute recess. We'll reconvene at 11:46 per that clock over there. We're in recess. Agenda 1081. Please, this is a second reading.
Amend code to align with the amended city charter approved by voters in Portland Measure 26-228.
Colleagues, just as a reminder, this is a second reading of the final set of code changes that will come before this council to align code with the voter-approved city charter. This ordinance includes 5 titles, 2 of which are being amended and 3 of which are being replaced. Is there any further discussion before we call the roll? Seeing none, Keelan, please call the roll on 1081.
Maps.
Aye.
Rubio. Ryan.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Wheeler.
I vote aye. The ordinance is adopted. 1082, also a second reading, please.
Authorize water revenue bonds to finance water system capital improvements for an amount sufficient to produce net proceeds of up to $250 million and to refund outstanding water revenue bonds.
Colleagues, any further discussion on this item? Please call the roll.
Maps.
Aye.
Rubio. Ryan.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye. The ordinance is adopted. 1084, a second reading. I'm
Amount-
sorry, it was a continuation. It was not a second reading. It was continued.
Thank you, Mayor.
1084.
Amend Portland City Code Title 24 Building Regulations to add Chapter 24.31 to address transient lodging.
All right, very good. Hello, Donnie. Did you have anything you wanted to start with?
Thank you, Mayor. Donnie Oliveira for the record. Good morning, Council. Sorry, getting my, and Council Clerk, I just sent you a file. And for 1 second, please, for Matt.
And colleagues, just to remind everybody where we are on this, we had a first reading, we heard a presentation, we have taken public testimony. Public testimony is closed on the main ordinance. There were some open questions. I think the Commissioner Gonzalez may have an amendment here at some point, but I want to give you the opportunity to start us off.
And just by way of background, Mayor, one of the requests I made of Donnie is that the staff has done some analysis on SDCs relative to single family and other uses. I think just to put on the record,
Do you have it available?
understand staff has done some pretty extensive evaluations of the equities of SDCs based on different uses. And that may have been alluded to last week, but I wanted to get some of that on the record. And if Fire Chief Skimmel is still here, we might have her come up. I'm checking right now just to give some further background on the safety issues implicated here.
Very good.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Mayor. So again, today we want to address some of the questions and pick up the conversation from last week related to the Title 24 amendments before you. The proposed ordinance ensures that critical life and safety measures, which have protected Portlanders for over a decade, remain enforceable in transient lodging facilities. Without this ordinance, we lose the ability to enforce these essential life safety standards, and this creates obviously a significant gap in our permitting process, creates a loophole, and undermines protections we've had in place for quite some time. Earlier this year, Portland Permitting Development was already trying to enforce the NFPA 13D sprinklers, which is a technical element, and separation requirements on certain permit requests. The state ruled that the city lacked that authority due to changes in the residential code, but said R3 commercial requirements could be applied if we added it to our own code through an ordinance, which is what we're doing today. This is creating a loophole that we need you to help us close. The state's guidance came in October, and staff quickly turned around the code before you today that will help and equip PP&D staff to enforce it appropriately. Passing this ordinance is the only way to close that loophole and ensure safety standards are upheld. I'll now pass it to our Chief Building Officer, Matt Rozelle, to share more detailed answers to some of the questions we heard last week.
All right, thank you, Donnie. Mayor, Council, thank you for having us here today. My name is Matt Rozelle. I'm with PP&D for the record. For the last 10 years, we've enforced the NFPA 13 sprinklers and fire ratings for R3 uses. The measures protected transient dwellings where no one permanently resides, located in commercial zones and with 10 or fewer occupants. These uses are similar to hotels. Earlier this year, the state ruled that we could no longer enforce the commercial requirements, but allowed us to reapply them through a local ordinance. Last week, we heard a couple of different interpretations of the state's rulings on this. Alana Cox and the State Building Codes Division confirmed our ability to enforce these standards under municipal code, provided that we codify those. So we did reach out to Alana after last week's meeting, and we received a letter from her confirming that what we shared last week is true and that the ordinance is absolutely within the city's purview to enforce these standards. We also heard your questions about the costs of implementation for some of these standards. If you look at this screen, you'll see the comparison of estimated costs for current and proposed standards. And so it's really important to note that each property would have different cost requirements depending on a variety of factors, including whether or not a new water line is needed, property type, site, and site-specific challenges, because there's multiple factors that can weigh in on that cost. Based on our research, we estimate that costs would vary with a maximum of just under $16,000 for the water system upgrades, and that $16,000 does not include the piping within the structure. I just want to make sure that that's clarified. The piping within the structure, from the research that I've done, costs anywhere between $2 and $7 per square foot in an existing home. And that concludes our presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
I guess just a couple of quick ones. So just to be clarify on the letter you received, could you just reiterate what it communicated in a sort of a 20-second version?
Sure. I reached out to Alana and said we received the letter in October. There was questions whether we were applying this local ordinance and whether we had the ability to do that. And she sent a follow-up letter that just stated that, yes, we're totally within the city's purview to enforce this and move this forward.
Got it. And in the assessment that you showed on the relative impact of SDCs, that's been ongoing work that you've been doing as a bureau?
That's correct.
Okay. And could you just speak briefly to what's going on statewide in terms of evaluating SDCs for sprinklers and, proposed legislation that may occur there?
Sure. There's a legislative concept that was put out a couple of weeks ago, and that ordinance, that legislative concept prohibits the charging of SDCs if you're installing a water meter, an upsized water meter for any residential 13D system, fire sprinkler system within a home, or in this case, one of these short-term rentals.
And could you paraphrase the policy, reasons for that evaluation, or Donnie, if you can speak to it, why folks are evaluating this right now at the state level?
Sure, I'm happy to. So as we increase our density with middle housing, obviously things are getting tighter within the city, and not just in the city of Portland, throughout Oregon. And one of the major costs when installing sprinkler systems is the SDC charge. So there has been, for the last, since I've been in building codes, 20 years, about not charging those SDCs, and finally this is coming forward in legislation.
And is it fair to say there is reassessment as to whether the demands on the commons are less when we're talking about sprinklers in a single-family residential versus other uses?
Yes, the residential sprinklers only use, at a maximum 26 gallons a minute water, where when you get into the larger commercial systems, like the 13R systems, that number doubles. It's based on 4 heads instead of the 2. And then with commercial, like you would in a hotel or something like that, it's quite a bit more when you look at the water usage out of those.
So, the way I interpret that, and you correct me if I'm getting this wrong, is we're pushing density. We're trying to make sure trying to right size at a state level SDCs for sprinklers in a residential context, and particularly single family, that just may not have the demands on overall infrastructure that other uses. And so they're trying to right size and prevent cities from overcharging for SDCs.
Correct. And hopefully those systems will never be used, so that water impact will never hit the customer or the water purveyor, whoever that may be.
And as we're evaluating this, even absent state addressing this, we still have flexibility to determine the SDCs that are going to be applied based on the differences in impact that we're assessing.
That's correct. I believe that's a local decision.
Okay. Those are all my questions for these two. I had some furthers for Fire Inspector Schimmel, but.
Okay. Does anybody have any more questions for this panel? If not, we'll have the fire inspector come up. In fact, you can come up anyway. You're always welcome. Thanks for being here.
Good morning.
Good morning. And thank you for being available on such short notice. I was responding to some questions from my colleagues, and I wanted to make sure that we were really fleshing out the life safety components here. Could you speak to the inspection requirements for hotels and motels versus, an Airbnb scenario that we've been discussing?
Sure. Good morning, Mayor, Council. Carrie Schimmel, Fire Marshal, Portland Fire and Rescue. So in Portland, we inspect commercial occupancies on a 2-year cycle. So that's our goal. Of course, it's not exact, but our inspectors have a running list and they try to hit every commercial occupancy every 2 years. Short-term rentals are going to fall under the residential. So we do not inspect private resident homes. So for short-term rentals, they would not fall under this, what we call the fire maintenance code. So we would not be doing those inspections every 2 years. They would just be looked at like a private residence.
And so we're still holding hotel operators and motel operators to a higher public, life and safety standard than we are Airbnb, even in commercial zones.
That is correct.
Okay. And then the type of sprinklers we require in a hotel situation versus in a residential, is there any material differences from your perspective?
Oh, for sure. It's robust. There's different requirements, more expensive, more gallons of water, like Matt alluded to. So a 13D is what we're talking about for these short-term rentals. And that's really designed for occupants to get out of the structure if it's under fire, where the other systems in the commercial is really for life safety and protecting the occupants' lives and the building themselves.
And without the proposed code changes, a structure up to 3 stories would be permitted without sprinklers.
That is correct.
Okay. Those are all the questions I have for them. I do want to discuss the possibility of an amendment directing staff on one component, but I'm good for now on these questions.
Any other questions? Otherwise, we can hear Commissioner Gonzalez's thoughts. Commissioner, go ahead.
So just taking a step back, this came on emergency. We had some opportunity to evaluate it, but there were components of concern about whether we're treating folks equitably in this space, the relative demands on public safety and infrastructure of a Airbnb unit versus a hotel. That creates some really interesting questions. And so what I'd like to propose is that we direct staff to report back, and I'll give you some precise language here shortly, by June 30th on the assessment of FDCs in the transient space. And specific areas we're trying to cover are, and I'll read it here in a second, but it's to evaluate the assessment of system development charges against transient and short-term lodging in commercial zones and report back to the city administrator by no later than June 30th, 2025. And all that's trying to do is to sunshine some of the work staff's already doing, assessing what's fair in this space relative to the infrastructure demands of different uses, and create space for that analytics. Also, to be clear, we're not discriminating against anyone. We're trying to wholeheartedly assess in this space. So again, I'll give you precise language for amendment in a second, but Keelan,
It's on the screen.
Okay.
I'm sharing it for everyone to see.
Let's see here. And I might, just to be clear about which deputy city administrator, I might insert 3 more words just to be clear that we're talking about the role that's currently held by Donnie. Not that I care, but just so that we're specific.
That's fine.
And what is that language? Will you share it with me?
The Deputy City Administrator of Community and Economic Development Service Area.
Thank you, Keelan, for doing that. So I will propose this amendment. I want to see what questions you all had on it.
Can I ask a couple questions before we move this? So, is there a specific subset of SDC charges that you want to have Donnie look at, or?
We were originally going to be more limited and just focused on one, sort of the single family scenario in that space. But just so that we're being fair to all constituents and all type of lodging uses, we extended it. And it's just, so that we're talking about hotels, we're talking about motels, and we're talking about single family or duplexes or townhouses that are being used in this space. That's just looking holistically and not just on one segment.
Sure. So that's the type of property, but I in my former space, we have SDCs for sidewalks and maybe they're SDCs. Transportation, whatnot. Does that include, or what are we?
As drafted, it would cover those broader, those areas. Thank you. But I don't have a strong feeling one way or another. I think we were focused on, water and unless Donnie, you had some thoughts, but.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Mapps, like the slide that we showed earlier, which was a quick example of some of those uses, we would just take that model and extrapolate it across all the SDCs just for an evaluation and assessment. Like, is there parity amongst the different types of uses within this zoning type, within this use of, hoteling, transient, short-term lodging, et cetera, just for a situational awareness?
Sure.
I think some of the questions we're trying to solve for is there equity? Are we equitably, consistent across these different uses based on type and costs? And then we can, if there's a recommendation, we can make some adjustments to those, but those would include all SDCs, logically.
Thank you. One other question. So in your evaluation, are you trying to measure equity amongst different types of businesses, or are you trying to evaluate equity in terms of whether or not the city is doing true cost recovery or covering our systems charges? And frankly, I think different depending on what space you're in. I think transportation has a certain set of goals, but park around SDCs and how we price those, and I think parks has a different sort of set of goals around how they price that. Is that part of this conversation?
If I may interpret this, Commissioner Gonzalez, I think our focus here was looking at the use case more than the overall coverage. The cost recovery model is not maybe the target of this evaluation. This is more the comparison across uses.
And one further piece of background the fire marshal gave me is, or reminded me of, there is a statewide analysis outside of legislative evaluation on the impact of system development charges are having, and you all may be familiar with, certainly Commissioner Rubio is familiar with, on the development of residential housing. And there's a 2022 report that really is scrutinizing that. So there's other activities outside the city of Portland that's ongoing evaluation of SDCs, including whether we need to have changes in state law. I would envision we're bootstrapping some of that analysis and as applicable here. But it is a specific use case. Are we treating hotels and Airbnb fairly when it comes to SDCs and just creating the space to do this analytics?
Thank you for the clarification. This is a rich space. One of the things I certainly hope council does moving forward is to look at our system and network of SDC charges. It's an issue that, the people who will sit in these seats in the future will hear about probably every day in some form or another. I also tell folks, I've kind of looked at this, compared Portland systems to systems we've seen in other places. Not every city has SDCs. I also tell you, there are plenty of cities that don't have SDCs that are as expensive to build in as Portland. So this is not a simple problem to solve. I appreciate the presentation and the idea, Commissioner Gonzalez. I'm inclined to support this amendment once it gets moved.
Okay.
Did you want to introduce your amendment?
I do, unless my colleagues had any other questions or comments, but.
Let's go ahead and introduce it.
Keelan, will you help me with the motion here?
Yeah, sure. I think if you wanted to say something like motion to add Directive C to item 1084 to read as follows.
Okay, I hereby make a motion to add Directive C to item 1084 as follows. The Deputy City Administrator for Community and Economic Development Service Area shall evaluate the assessment of system development charges, SDCs, against transient and short-term lodging and commercial zones and report to the City Administrator by no later than June 30th, 2025.
Second.
Commissioner Gonzalez moves, Commissioner Maps seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, call the roll.
Maps.
Aye.
Rubio.
Aye.
Ryan.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye. The amendment is on the table. Any further discussion to the main motion? Commissioner Maps, did you have a comment?
I'm just a little confused about what happens now. Does this get carried over, or do we vote
Nope,
on?
we're ready to
vote
vote.
that? All right,
Call the roll.
that's it.
Maps.
Aye.
Rubio.
Aye.
Ryan.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye. The ordinance is adopted as amended. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
1085. This is a first reading of I'm sorry, it's a second reading.
Amend the Portland Clean Energy Community Benefits Fund Climate Investment Plan.
Colleagues, we've already heard testimony and a presentation. Any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Maps.
Aye.
Rubio.
I want to acknowledge the incredible work of all the PSEF team to get to this place. And I also want to thank Sam for his work and shepherding all the moving pieces here. It was a large undertaking, but really important and transformative. So very proud of this work we accomplished together over the last several years. I vote aye.
Ryan.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye. The ordinance is adopted. 1086. This is also a second reading.
Add wireless facility operators to the Utility Operators Code and amend fee schedule to include wireless facilities in the right-of-way.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Maps.
Aye.
Rubio.
I want to also thank Andrew here for his tremendous work. It's been a long, long road and a lot of moving pieces. And I want to just give that appreciation to Andrew and the team at BPS and all people involved. I vote aye.
Ryan.
Yeah, I want to also acknowledge Andrew Spear. Thank you for shepherding the parties along through this process. It was refreshing to hear testimony actually from Alex from Verizon and Kathy from Crown Castle. I recall the last time the road code was up for negotiation, it was not as peaceful and supportive. So it just shows a lot of great work that went on by you as a public servant. It's a great example of how working together, listening to each other, you end up landing it for a better path forward. I vote aye.
Gonzalez.
Just really appreciative of the work of staff and Commissioner Rubio's team and others on getting to shared understanding in this area. It is a complex space in terms of recovering costs for public entities and being fair to different users, much like the conversation we just had on SDC. So it doesn't always lend itself to simple talking points, and appreciate the work done over many, many months. I vote aye.
Wheeler.
I vote aye. The ordinance is adopted. It's 1087, the second reading.
Assess properties for sidewalk, curb, and driveway repair for the Bureau of Transportation.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Maps.
Aye.
Rubio.
Aye.
Ryan.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye. The ordinance is adopted. 1088, first reading. I'm sorry, no, it's an emergency ordinance. 1088.
Pay workers' compensation claims of Paul J. Beaker for $420,000 involving Portland Fire and Rescue.
Welcome.
Great, thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. For the record, Jonas Beery, Deputy City Administrator of Budget and Finance and the city's Chief Financial Officer. This ordinance settles worker compensation claims filed under the Oregon Firefighters Presumption Laws. The majority of the city's firefighters are covered under the Fire and Police Disability and Retirement Fund. However, there is a small population of firefighters, including Mr. Beaker, who transferred employment to the city during annexation of several fire districts and who elected coverage under the city's general benefits programs. Mr. Beaker's estate, through their attorneys, has requested a lump sum payment of survivors' benefits as allowed under Oregon workers' compensation law. With that, I'll hand over to Chief Deputy City Attorney Lin Vu and Senior Workers' Compensation Disability Analyst Vicki Bisbee, who are online to speak more about the ordinance.
Thank you for the introduction, DCA Beery, and for having me here today. For the record, my name is Lin Vu. I am a Chief Deputy City Attorney. With me is Vicki Bisbee, a Senior Claims Analyst with Risk Management Services. As referenced, this ordinance reflects a mutually agreed upon settlement between the parties. DCA Beery already did a great job of introducing the topics, but I am here today to answer any questions you might have.
All right, good. Any questions?
Thank you.
Any public testimony on this item?
No one signed
Call
up.
the roll.
Maps.
Aye.
Rubio.
Aye.
Ryan.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye, ordinance is adopted. 1089, this is a first reading of a non-emergency ordinance.
Assess benefited properties for street, sidewalk, stormwater, and sanitary sewer improvements in the North Settle Road Local Improvement District.
Construction of this LID is now complete. The ordinance closes out the North Settle Road LID and imposes a final assessment. I'm told we are at 3.7% below budget for the project. Congratulations. The property owners, of course, get the benefits of those savings. North Settle Road serves many industrial businesses between the railroad and borders the Smith-Bybee Wetlands Natural Area and the Columbia River. Smith-Bybee is a designated significant bird area recognized nationally for its important habitat. This project eliminates pollution exposure to millions of birds due to previously untreated stormwater road runoff, so the project helps the environment in addition to reconstructing the road to provide good access to freight jobs. With that, I'll turn it over to DCA Priya Dhanapal. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. For the record, I'm Priya Dhanapal, DCA for Public Works. In the interest of time, I'm going to invite Andrew Abbey to provide the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Andrew Abbey, Local Improvement District Administrator, and sitting on my right is Matthew Kelly. He was the project manager and pulled this project over the finish line. So why don't we go ahead and start off with the presentation. Thank you. Next slide, please. So this is an overview map of Settle Road, just west of North Portland Road. Next slide, please. That little circle that you see there in the middle is a portion of the project that we deleted, which contributed to the cost savings. But we originally thought we were going to need to pipe the stormwater north to the Columbia River and have to build a new stormwater outfall to the Columbia River. We had some fantastic engineering by the Bureau of Environmental Services and by our consultant designer, and we were able to eliminate that outfall to the Columbia River and provide for local stormwater infiltration on the project. I will tell you, as somebody who's driven across Kansas multiple times, this area is flatter than Kansas, and it was a real engineering challenge to actually make this water drain properly, but we did that, and we were happy to eliminate that expensive aspect of the project. Next slide, please. So Settle Road has been a long time in the making. The wheels of government do sometimes grind a little bit slowly. I know that this one has been on my radar screen for over 20 years, and just very pleased to finally deal with decades of property owner complaints about the street and get it improved. This is an industrial area, it's an industrial sanctuary. We have a lot of living wage working living wage jobs on the street. And part of the feedback that I heard from property owners before we formed the LID is, I can't continue running my business here. The street is in such bad condition that I can't continue doing business. And I just wanted to take a moment to recognize the late Commissioner Nick Fish, who provided stormwater funding for this project. And to my left is the former BES director, now city administrator, Michael Jordan. And he too provided that very critical stormwater funding, without which this project would not have moved forward. So as the mayor recapped, we are officially over 3.7% below the budget in terms of the amended LID. If you go back to the numbers we were looking at when we were initiating the LID, we're actually 11.4% under the original proposed amount for the LID. So next slide, please. So this is a very long project. This is the better part of a mile of Freight Street that we completely reconstructed. One of the thoughtful things that we did with the property owners and listening to them was, we didn't do what we normally would have done, which would have been to build a 40 to 44 foot wide street, which is the standard in a freight area. We actually built a much narrower street so that we didn't have to take out half the businesses along the street. We only built a sidewalk on the north side of the street. A pretty complex aspect of this project was having to replace 5 railroad grade crossings on the project. So we have a joke in project management that railroads are one level above God in the hierarchy, but we were able to successfully negotiate with the railroad and get all of those grade crossings replaced at LID expense. And then finally, we amended the LID after we formed it to extend the sanitary sewer and not only deal with the standing water on the street, but also eliminate cesspools that we had on the street. So really a really good environmental project all the way around. Next slide, please. So this is what the street looked like when I was getting property owner complaints about it. Water was just kind of running all over the place and just really bad condition street. This was back in 2017. Next slide, please. And then you can see that the water is also running off the road and sitting on private property. So we were able to deal with all that by completing the project. Next slide, please. So this would be a good time to fasten your seatbelts. This is the perspective of a truck driver driving down the road. So if we could start the video. Do we have audio?
Okay, let me see if we can get the audio playing. Sorry, Andrew, give me just a minute.
Okay. Why don't we come back to that? What you're looking at here is the east end of the project along North Portland Road. You can see the trains in the background there on the left picture. So this is a very active rail corridor, and on the right is the transition to the new shuttle road is completed. So we'll move on to the next slide. And you can see one of the 5 grade crossings that we replaced as part of the project. Next slide, please. And then we also, this area was fairly bereft of trees when we started, and the few trees that were there, by narrowing the road, we were able to save them. And then we also planted new trees as part of the project. Next slide, please. And this is the west end of the project, and you can see that we replaced this asphalt street with concrete that's very good for freight. So we're going to skip over the video, but that concludes the PowerPoint presentation. My colleague Matthew Kelly wanted to share a few words about the project as well.
Now, I kind of want to know what happens in that video. It's just really noisy.
We can share it with your offices. I'm sorry. We were
Figured Andrew
having
could
an
just give like
audio
a summary
issue.
of what the video would have done.
Is the truck driver driving down the road and the cab is bouncing up and down, and I think his head hit the ceiling a couple of times because the potholes.
You actually
are
hear
so-
that?
You can hear it, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So
Thanks.
Well, we should do something about that, shouldn't we?
Good afternoon. My name is Matt Kelly. I'm a capital project manager at PBOT. Just a few words I was going to share today. Like any big construction job, this one involved a lot of folks who helped make it happen. We had an excellent design courtesy of Vega Civil. This is a relatively new firm headed by Martha Williamson. Our hiring of Vega Civil shows how our equitable contracting policies can really broaden and diversify our local workforce. We also had excellent oversight from PBOT engineers, including Nicole Blanchard, whose previous experience building concrete roadways helped ensure a good result on Subtle Road. Finally, John Wilson, a former engineer at PBOT, provided a steady hand in getting this project into construction. We worked hard on this project to respond to property owner feedback during construction, and John helped a lot with field adjustments that ultimately delivered a better project. And I'm personally proud of the work we've delivered on this local improvement district project. Thank you for your time.
And before we turn it over to property owner testimony, Port of Portland just sent me a letter that they suggested I read into the record, which is the Port of Portland participated in the property owner discussions regarding formation of the North Subtle Road Local Improvement District and expressed support for the amendment of the LID to include the additional improvements, and that was the extension of the road to the west end of the street. The LID improved approximately a mile long of North Subtle Road from North Portland Road to the Port Subtle Road property on Terminal 6. The LID also realigned and extended the road to the port's frontage. The realignment provides a path for a potential future rail connection between the Subtle Road rail line owned by Peninsula Terminal Company and the port's current rail line at the east end of Terminal 6. Establishment of the hammerhead turnaround and the roadway alignment also improved emergency access and provided on-street parking for employees of existing businesses located on North Subtle Road, which is the home for about 20 industrial companies. The port would like to express its appreciation to the Portland Bureau of Transportation for its work with stakeholders to form and amend the LID as well as deliver the specified improvements within budget. We appreciate the work of PBOT staff in implementing the LID for the benefit of all parties. So with that, I think we can turn it over to property owner testimony. Do we have Christine Kennedy with us, Keelan?
Let's see. Christine.
She was virtual.
I'm not seeing Christine on, well, let me see if
Okay. I think we lost her because she had to do some highway heavy hauling.
There's someone.
Pardon?
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Welcome.
Christine?
Christine, are you there?
There we go.
Hello, can I be heard now?
Yes, you can.
Oh, great. Hi, my name is Christine Kennedy, and I am the owner of Highway Heavy Hauling. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Loud and clear.
Yes, so we are, oh, great. Those speech classes helped out when I was in high school 40 years ago. So I'm the owner of Highway Heavy Hauling. We're a certified women-owned business. I started the company in 2013. We specialize in hauling large construction equipment in Oregon and Washington, but our true passion is the local moves and helping us, quote unquote, move the city. That's what we've been using as our call sign lately. We have the only fully steerable trailer that can move equipment in and out of tight places, such as underneath the tram on South Bond and South Moody, or even in the Pearl District. When I first went into business, it was very important for me to have an office in Portland. As Hillsborough and Wilsonville were growing, I was passionate about having a centralized location for my customers and using We Move the City as our statement for moving equipment in the city of Portland. Our first office was renting space from another company on Northwest St. Helens Road. They gave us 3 parking spots and we quickly outgrew it. When I found the property on North Settle Road, I was pretty sure it was our next home, although I couldn't afford it. I had to go branch out and find someone to lease it with me so that we could convince the property owner that we were their next best tenant. The property that we have resided on North Settle Road now has been really great to us. And it was a perfect property for turning radius, for location, for getting on and off the freeway. It was just perfect. Unfortunately, the potholes also created a horrible safety hazard because the motorists would try to avoid the potholes at all costs, even if it meant going into traffic, moving in the opposite direction. There were no lines on Settle Road telling anyone whose lane was whose, so it was fair game to move left or right to avoid a pothole. When I say pothole, we're not talking something that was the size of, a basketball. We're talking something that is much more crater-like. There were many fender benders. The street also had poor lighting since when a person attempted to miss a pothole, they oftentimes would hit a bollard or even one of the poles on the road because of the poor lighting. I really appreciate the city putting this on their fix-it list. Not only is it for my small business with the big equipment located on this road, but one of the largest trucking companies in Oregon, J.B. Hunt, was also on the road, and a tanker trucking company. You cannot drive down North Settle Road during daylight hours and not pass a truck. It is rare that at night to not see a truck as well. Regardless of the truck traffic, the street is heavy with motorists, and we really believe that this has made our street safer for motorists and our company. Thank you. I'm sorry to be long-winded.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
That concludes our item today, Mayor Wheeler. We're happy to answer any questions you
Very
might
good.
have.
Do we have any public testimony on this item?
Just
the one. Okay, very good. Colleagues, any further questions before we move this along? Commissioner Mapps.
Just a comment. Again, a great lid. Thank you so much. It's wonderful to see both that beautiful infrastructure and to see the folks who interact with it. Really happy. Thanks, Andrew and team. You guys always do great work.
All right, very good. This is a first reading of a non-emergency ordinance. It moves to second reading. Thank you all. Last item, 1090. This is an emergency ordinance.
pay settlement of Zaire Wellman bodily injury lawsuit for $100,000 involving the Portland Police Bureau.
Colleagues, this ordinance resolves a lawsuit filed against the city back in January of 2023. Senior Deputy City Attorney Mallory Beebe, Deputy City Attorney Carrie Caldwell, and Senior Claims Analyst Karen Bond are here to walk us through the ordinance. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Carrie Caldwell. This lawsuit arises out of alleged injuries to Zaire Wellman, Tanzania White, and Vanessa White during an August 10th, 2020 protest near the North Portland Police Precinct. Plaintiffs were among a number of protesters who remained near the precinct building after PPB had declared an unlawful assembly and ordered the crowd to disperse. Plaintiffs alleged various injuries were incurred during the dispersal. Mr. Wellman further alleged that he was injured during the course of his subsequent arrest. Tanzania White and Vanessa White witnessed the police injuring Mr. Wellman. Plaintiffs filed suit in Multnomah County Circuit Court on August 10th, 2022. The parties attended mediation in November, and the mediator brought the parties together for a settlement of $100,000, inclusive of plaintiff attorney's fees, to resolve all of the claims. The city's attorney's office, Portland Police Bureau, and Risk Management recommend approval of this settlement, and I'm happy to answer any questions to the best of my ability.
All right, very good. Colleagues, any questions about this particular item? Is there any public testimony on this item?
One person signed up, Dan Handelman.
All right.
Dan, can you hear us?
Hello, can you, yes, can you hear me?
Yep.
Sorry, confused confusing. I wasn't asked to be promoted, so I wasn't sure what was going on. All right. Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Dan Handelman. I use he, him pronouns. I'm with the group Portland Cop Watch. We understand that Zaire Wellman and the city have come to an agreement to settle this bodily injury lawsuit for $100,000, and we have no objection. People subjected to police misconduct should be compensated. However, as we've noted before, the city shelling out money as the cost of doing business is not the same as accountability, nor does it ensure similar incidents will not happen in the future. Last month, we testified on Dustin Ferreira's $400,000 settlement, which was described as an encounter. Today's ordinance is more honest, noting the injuries were inflicted on Mr. Wellman during an arrest on August 10, 2020. At the time of the incident, Mr. Wellman was 25 years old, and according to the complaint filed by his attorney, noticeably a tall black man. During a protest against police racial injustices and violence, the Portland police picked out this young black man. According to the complaint, the police grabbed Mr. Wellman's 19-year-old sister, Tanzania, by the arm, and when he yelled for them to stop, police turned their attention to him, pushing him face first into the pavement. They apparently put him in a squad car, then took him out and applied various chokeholds. We praised Chief Day for his appearance in October when he spoke of changes made to prevent another incident where the police dog can get loose and attack innocent pedestrians. But we heard no discussion today of how to stop the police from racially profiling members of the public and causing damage, such as was done to Mr. Wellman, which included a broken tooth, a concussion, and other injuries. Our records show this payment brings the total paid out for the 2020 protest to over $3.065 million. The new charter that takes effect January 1 only requires council to approve settlements of over $50,000. Current threshold is $5,000, and from the standpoint of transparency and police accountability, should be kept at that level when the new meetings begin. The new council can and should request all police settlements be put on the regular agenda for public discussion. As this council knows, if they're put on the consent agenda, Portland Cop Watch will pull the items for discussion. We recently commented on the draft monitoring plan put forward by the independent monitor for the US DOJ settlement agreement. That agreement requires review of civil lawsuit information to help determine whether the Bureau is, in fact, a learning organization that sees patterns and responds by changing policies and training to avoid making the same mistakes. The draft plan did not mention paragraph 222's requirement for this analysis. We encourage the monitor to pick up where the compliance officer left off with the first and only published information on settlements, which merely reported on the amounts paid, but not the underlying policies. The settlement was added to this agenda as a 4/5 item today, giving the public just 2 days notice instead of the customary 5. The civil trial had been scheduled to begin on December 2, but Mr. Wellman's attorney asked for an extension after the Bureau dumped a bunch of officer video recordings on them in October. Why the urgency? Finally, we appreciate the many opportunities we've had to remind this council about the serious responsibility that law enforcement officers have to engage with the community in ways that do not routinely rely on their extraordinary power to use violence up to and including deadly force. We hope the city will do better in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this item? Please call the roll.
Maps.
Aye.
Rubio.
Aye.
Ryan.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye. The ordinance is adopted. That completes our business for this morning. Goodbye, 900 building. It's been great. We are adjourned.